All right, if I could have your attention, please. I'd like to call to order the San Bernardino City Unified School Board of Education. What's the date today, Dr. Marsden?
It is currently the 16th.
The 16th of June? Are you kidding me? That means school's out. Wow, incredible. Okay, if you wouldn't mind standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your hearts and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you so much. Okay, we're at item 1.3, adoption of the agenda. And Dr. Marsden, I think you've got modification you'd like to propose?
Yes, Mr. President, after you have a motion in a second, I can make those changes, or if I can do those now, that's fine. I'd like to pull item 8.33, 8.38, and 8.39. Staff has suggested we pull these items, and we'll, item 8.33, 8.38, and 8.39.
Okay, and then we're going to have a presentation from students from Cajon, so we'll do that at like 1.5 or something, a new 1.5.
Correct.
And do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as modified?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the agenda as modified. Please vote. A couple more, one more. Ms. Savage, great, way to go. Okay, agenda's adopted. And tonight's inspirational reading at 1.4 is Abigail Medina.
Okay, great. I just wanted to say that several days ago, there was an article that came out, I don't know if everybody here had heard about it, from the Los Angeles Times, the San Bernardino, the broken city, basically. And it was a very hard reality of what's going on here in San Bernardino. But amongst all the struggles that our city is going through, I have to say that our education system here in the district, we're moving forward. And there's another article that just came out as well. It's called Building for the Future in California's Famously Failed City. And that just shows the perseverance of our student. And here are some quotes that I do want to share. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. The struggle of life is one of our greatest blessings. It makes us patient and sensitive. It teaches us that although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of overcoming it. Helen Keller. And says, as we build our city, we in the education system here in San Bernardino Unified School District, we're moving forward with it. And I think we've actually put the first step in moving forward. And I do want to thank Dr. Marsden, our Superintendent Marsden, because of the vision. I also want to thank our board president because he had brought, I remember when I voted for him, was with regarding the STEM. Creating those careers, because that's where the prosperity comes. And as you say, building the dependency to prosperity. And that's exactly what we're doing here in the district. We're moving forward with that. So and I just want to say that I'm really proud that these children, our students, are actually will come out of the district better equipped to deal with these challenges. You know, they're not coming from a community where everything comes easy. Our children are actually going to be the future leaders of any city that they end up living in. So I wanted to say I'm very proud of our district and that we're moving forward on that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Abigail.
And our city.
Thank you, Abigail. Really nice. Okay, now we're going to, we have some student presentations. These students are from Cajon. And who's going to introduce that, Dr. Marsden? Okay, Dr. Flores.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to ask the Cajon students and Mr. R.J. Lennox to please come forward. And he'll set it up a little bit more, but Consuelo Kickbush was working, her team worked, a team of 4, worked with 50 of our students at Cajon on Be the One. And
Is this
Morgan.
one of our older students right here?
No, he's a teacher. He's a teacher at Cajon. And just a tremendous, I have to say, leader,
I love it.
Mr. Lennox. And just appreciate you very much for all that you do, extra time. You just go beyond what is expected of you, and just really appreciate your energy and your commitment and so forth. And kids, Morgan and Charles are here, and several of them, simultaneously, Lieutenant Colonel Cookbush was conducting also parent leadership. We approved that. And so the students came in to share their vision boards and also their stories with 60 parents that are participating. And actually, Dr. Marsden came on Saturday and heard testimonies from the parents as well.
Great.
And hopefully, the next time, some of the, the rest of us can be there and also participate with our students. But go ahead, Mr. Lennox.
I want to thank you for those remarks. I appreciate it. They were giving me a hard time because I had my little pink notes thing, and they're like, "You're supposed to know this and not have notes." But, that's how I roll. So, also, before I start, I just want to do a little celebration on myself. I don't know if Harold remembers, but it was 20 years ago this summer that he called and invited me to come from Wyoming to come out to San Bernardino and join the team here. So, thank you for that. Again, I want to thank the board for the time you're giving me and Dr. Flores for inviting us. We appreciate that. I'm here on behalf of Ms. Tina Bishop, our new principal, and as we know, this is a busy time of year. We are planning for the new year, going to meetings, trainings, and vacations with families, so that is the reason why she could not be here tonight. Cajon had a unique opportunity that was presented to us to work with EAS, the Educational Achievement Services, that was founded by Lieutenant Colonel Consuelo Kickbush. What they do is they bring leadership to our students and our parent groups, and the participants are able to embrace their inner leader. The journey they go on is very introspective, and there's a lot of laughter, and there's a lot of tears. And I'm going to steal a word that she uses, we get real. And she talks to them, we're going to get real. But it's a safe place. And, I believe this is a safe place, not as safe because the students don't know everybody here. So they will be sharing some of their experiences with the group and what they got from it, maybe not to the extent that we shared with the parents and the other students. But the most important thing is both the parents and the students, they're finding their voice. They're finding that they are indeed leaders of their community and that their influence is more than they ever imagined. So as you hear some of the stories from these students and myself, just keep in mind that we appreciate that you've allowed this group to come into our community and come into our district, and hopefully we will continue to see them within our community.
Well, welcome, young man.
Good afternoon. I'm Charles Sanchez. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous right now. This is the first time I've ever done something like this before. Like just talking to a bunch of people, so high up in like educational purposes, and it's crazy for me too, cause I've always not really liked school, never been into it. But I really realized I needed a lot, and I'm behind a little bit, so I joined summer school, and then joined summer school, get all my credits, and then found this, this opportunity too, so I went and took it. I went in, and it was, I was pretty nervous. I didn't know what was gonna happen, and it was actually one of the best, programs I've ever been in. It's Like, I liked it because the class I have, I'm just in there, just sitting down doing work, you know, just sitting down like 2 hours, just doing nothing, just on a computer. With this program, I got to interact, I got to learn more social skills, you know, got to learn more life lessons, and it's really something that I need because, like, I mean, it's just, you know, I know I need, you know, education, all that, but, you know, I also want to learn how to, you know, how to treat others, you know, because, you know, out here, you know, it's kind of bad people, you know, they treat each other like, you know, they don't care. And so, like, it's good to know that I have this, so, like there's things where I can avoid, you know, problems I can avoid and problems, like, you know, I can resolve and just make things better for everyone, you know, and just not having any problems and just not having anything interact or like mess up my education, you know. And so it was a good program. I did a program. It was a program. It's called a mask program. And what you do is on one side you write what you know what you think, how people think of you, and what you want them to think of you. And on the other side you write what person you really are and like what person you know you want to be.
Wow.
That it made me think because, like, you know, my own mom, she tells me at this age kids are confused, they don't really know what they want. And it helped me kind of learn about like how what kind of person you really are, because like you think you're this person, but people see you as this, and then you want to be this person, but you think you're this type of person, and it just all confuses you. So at this stage no one really knows who they are, and it's not a good thing to, you know, pick something bad, you know. So and then just so you just stay focused in school, you do all your work, and you as that happens, you get older, you mature more, and you become a better person. You know, you stay in school, you're doing, you know, doing activities like this that keeps you off the streets and just has you be a better person. You know, learning in the class I was in too. It was just a group of just random different people, and none of them were picked. We all wanted to be in the program. It's not like we had to do it or, you know, whatever. We wanted to do it because we want to learn more, and it was just a good opportunity to have. And then the teachers that helped us out there, they were just so amazing, and the stories that they told us from where they come from, it just makes you think if they could come from that and look how high up they are now and look how good they're doing for themselves, you know, why can't I do it, you know? And my situation when it wasn't as bad as them, you know, I still go through problems every day, you know? I still, you know, I have a sister I got to take care of because, you know, I'm raised with a single mom. And so having this program, you know, really teaches me a lot to, you know, to really use my mind, you know, and just stay focused, stay on track, and just be a good person, you know, and learn more and just go with, like, follow programs like this, because you don't know what you're going to learn, what you're going to get out of. And so just a really good thing, because, and like I said, you know, that math program really, like, made me think, you know, what kind of person I could be and, like, who I want to be in life, and it was pretty good. So thank you. My name's Charles.
Way to go. Great job.
Hi, I'm Morgan. In this program, I learned that no one can judge you because as a mom, a lot of people judge me because of my age for being a mom. But in this program, on the second day, it kind of showed you like that other people go through stuff and like that you can't be judged just because you're past. But and it helps you get through a lot of stuff. Like if you have problems, you can open up to them. And then like sometimes people can't open up to their family. But it shows, like, they showed you, like, no one's going to judge you there and that they can help you through a lot. But, yeah, that's it. Can I be done now? Yeah.
Great, Morgan. Linda, you had a comment?
I would just like to say, but I'm sure I should wait till you're all done, but the first young man, you know, we're sitting up here because of you. It is our job to see that you're going to be successful. Don't be afraid to come ask any of us anything, to talk with us, say, take me to lunch, do something, because I want to be successful, because we know you want to be successful. We want you to be successful. So, you know, your teachers, your principals, take advantage of it. Just enjoy it. And, you know, you have no idea how well you spoke. You said you had never done it before, but don't you think? You
Yep,
did an outstanding
absolutely.
job. Outstanding. So give yourself a pat on the back.
Dr. Flores, and then Mr. Tillman.
I just wanted to tell you, Morgan, that being a mother is the most wonderful thing in the world. Giving birth to a child is the most precious thing in the world. And you're right, the way we should be judged as mothers is that we are the queens, right? We are it. Fathers too, though. You know, I'm not saying anything about fathers.
One day a year, I guess.
But anyway, you know, and you can be whatever you want, and you'll do it for your child. Is it a little girl? For your little girl? And, you know, just, you will accomplish whatever you desire. And I know you will. You're welcome.
Thank you. And Mr. Tillman.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate the two who spoke already. You guys did a great job. And to the young lady, you know, my mother was 16 when she had my oldest brother. So when she was 22, she had 5 kids. But she met my dad. My dad was in the military. And when she left South Carolina and went to Pennsylvania, they didn't allow students who had kids to go to school. And so, I mean, I just congratulate you for realizing the opportunity you have of continuing your education and being able to move forward and graduate and do everything else. So I can't, you know, tell you enough of how proud I am of, you know, you being in the program and going through this summer school and continuing with school. That's what counts in the end. You can be successful because it's all about your attitude. You have just as much potential as you ever had, and you got the drive to do the work and take care of your kid at the same time, so I commend you for that. And then the young man, you know, you say you look at people up here, that important, but, you know, I'm from San Bernardino too, born on the west side of San Bernardino, went to Roosevelt, Airview, and San Bernardino High School. And what you said in terms of being confused and not knowing how things are going to work out, I felt the same way. You know, I was in high school doing stupid stuff and crazy stuff, and I went to school just because my dad told me you go to school. And I went to college, they said if you go to college, you can make more money, and it's the truth. So I just, you know, stay on the right track, and like you said, you know, beware of the streets, because it's the same way it was when I was growing up. San Bernardino could be a crazy place for a young man. So, you know, like I tell all young people, as long as you don't get hooked on drugs and don't get a criminal record, you're going to be successful. And it sounds like you've come to a point where you're really going to try to work hard in school and use your potential, because you have a lot of potential. Just the way you spoke today, you're very articulate, so make sure you don't waste it. And I think you got the intelligence enough to know what you got to do to do the right things to be successful. So I want to congratulate you too.
Way to go. All right, we got two more. All right, young man, who are you?
I'm Stephen Harris. Stephen Harris.
Yeah.
Hi. I came to talk about the program. What I like best about the program is, like, we got put together with people that I didn't think I'd ever meet or talk to, and how it was touching to see, like, some of the people talk about their feelings and, like, pour out their emotions to certain things that some people in this world wouldn't talk about, like personal things, and, like, seeing that how they grew from the people that were teaching the class, how they grew up. Like, it's seeing that, like, not everything is bad in the world, how they came from down and they came up, anything's possible, basically. And, like, living in, like, LA and all bad areas, it's like you can get out of that. And from the program, it's like, I can't remember. I lost all. I got nervous.
That's all right, doing great.
I forgot.
So what's the name of the program?
Be the one.
Be what?
Be the one.
Be the one. Okay. And it's happening now, or you guys did it while you were in school, or what?
We did it during summer school.
Doing summer school. So that just happened right now? You guys are in summer school now, or you were in summer school?
We're in summer school now. The
Okay,
program's over.
so you
now.
don't, so you just did the program? Okay.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Good job.
Hi, my name is Abisai Duran, and came to talk about the program that we had in our school. What I like most about the program is that no matter how hard you struggle in school, that other people can actually motivate you to try harder. And just hearing the past of the teachers that we had in there motivated me to just not give up in everything, but to try to be a little step forward on it. And the couple of days that I spent in there helped me open up the side I was scared to open up to people. And it helped me believe in myself, that I could actually be something in my life. And I guess in those couple of days, the more and more I went there, it just had a bigger impact on my life, because haven't met so many people in one area that felt the same way as I, but they still try hard to try to bring their grades and everything up. And I liked it a lot, because just everyone got along and there wasn't any issues or anything.
It's
It's
fantastic.
a fun experience.
Yeah, great. Fantastic, that's great. And very proud of you guys and gal. That's fantastic. Good job. Very proud of you.
So that kind of was the program light. I don't know if anyone behind me kind of gets the idea that it got pretty heavy. And these students really opened up. And in fact, we had some of you come by and really opened up for the kids, and they felt that. And like I said at the beginning, it gets very real. And as you can see, within 3 days, these students have kind of gone from going into a program not sure what they were walking into. All these students here actually spoke to the parent group and were very real and honest with them. And then they showed up tonight to speak to you. So I think a week ago, if we would have told them, oh, you're going to be down at the board meeting speaking to everybody, they would have said, no, not me. So it's a great program. We want to see Consuelo work with us some more. We want her back at Cajon. But we need her all over the district, and we need to have these conversations with all of our students. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. We had Abigail, Dr. Hill, and then Dr. Flores.
I just wanted to say that, as Mr. Tillman mentioned earlier, a lot of us grew up in many situations similar to of the students that mentioned earlier. And it's because you see us in this position, we are actually, as many of the residents in the city, we struggled ourselves, and we have the heart for what you guys are doing. And I'm very proud of every single one of you guys. I have no doubt that you guys will be great leaders in our community as well. I do ask, because I seen there's a writing behind the shirt. What does it say? Because I seen Helen Keller at the back, so it just kind of pinpoint to what I was talking about earlier, about the perseverance of what you guys are going through.
We'll take care of this for you. He's going to read. He's going to read my back.
Wait, turn more. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. Helen Keller.
See, that's great. Well, thank you so much.
That's great. Dr. Hill.
Thank you, and I commend all of you. And it is a brave thing that you've done today to come before us, because, we used to be where you are, and I probably would have been still standing in the back crying, so don't make me do that. So I commend you for coming up and speaking and sharing your voice. All of us up here are hope makers. Yes, we're school board members and we're cabinet, but we're also hope makers. And our intent is to help you move to the next level in a very positive way. I heard it just a couple of weeks ago that we do a good job of opening the doors for students, but sometimes we forget to leave the ladder down. And one of the things we're doing as hope makers, we're leaving the ladder down so you can climb up and climb over and climb above and be better than any of us up here. So the thing is, don't give up on your dreams, continue doing a great thing, and You may not remember our names, but you can also always say to Mr. AJ, Ms. Bishop, anyone else on your campus, we want some of those folks that sit downtown to come out to see us, and we'll be there. So thank you, and don't forget to invite us so that we can be a part of your success, even at your level, so we can hear your voices continually. And please come back. Thank you.
I want to commend you because I was present when you each shared your story, and I cried tears with you, and I saw you transform and believe in yourselves, and even I know in my heart that you're each going to go forward. Like Dr. Hill said, you're not only going to climb the ladder, you're going to make other ladders for many others in our community and for yourselves. And I also want to commend Dr. Wiseman, because Dr. Wiseman came and shared his story. And the kids were just overwhelmed, right, by his story. And I too shared a little bit about my story, and it was gratifying. And I just want to share with the board members, these are the types of programs that we need. We need to get to our kids' hearts, correct, to who you are, to build you. And like Charles, you said, I got to know who I am and where I'm going to go. And I said Ice. Is that your name? Abisai? Abi, okay, sorry. Abi. I just, your story touched me, and Morgan, I just cried throughout your whole story, right? Steve, I missed yours because I was in another room, but you are truly representative of your group. I mean, all 50 of you, just totally transformed. And I think as board members, we have to, that's what boots on the grounds are. I mean, their souls, their hearts, and to believe in them, to know that we care. And we can't do it ourselves, but we can bring in, the team that came in. They were just awesome, weren't they? Those 4 young people that came in and led you through 3 days of intensive work. And I just want to, tell Cabinet and also us that we need to continue to support these kinds of programs. Like RJ said, Mr. Lennox said, we have to do it, not just continue at Cajon, but also throughout the whole district. So thank you again, and we really appreciate you coming. You did a great job, you guys. Okay.
We're very proud of all of you. Good job.
Great. Thanks, guys. And guys is a gender-neutral term, by the way. Okay, we're going to go to item 2.1, our Environmental Excellence Award.
Yes, and we'll turn this over to Miss Linda Bardere, and she has some information for the board as well as a brief video.
Thank you and good evening. Today, our energy conservation partner, Synergistic, is recognizing our Board of Education and our entire school district for being good stewards of the environment. But before we begin the recognition, we're going to play a video that showcases some of the people who are working hard to ensure that energy conservation becomes a better way of life for our entire district. This video was produced by our very own digital content producer, Daniel Tisdale. Let's take a look.
So since 2012, our school board has implemented a new policy for energy conservation, and it's implemented in all of our schools for how we can conserve energy. Since we've implemented it, we've removed the equivalent to over 2,000 cars from the highway, and we've planted over 200,000 trees.
I've been personally impressed based on some of the data that we've seen come back from our efforts thus far. I felt like it was going to be entirely up to me to monitor and track and remind people, and that's not been the case. I have some staff members that have taken over my leadership roles in reminding others. What I want to do is challenge my staff and students to continuously strive to improve on where we are currently. With energy conservation, I don't think there's enough that we can do. There's always something else that we can try, and I know that my staff would be up for that challenge.
We were very good about turning lights on and off, but we didn't always remember to turn off the other electronics, such as the laptops and the computers and the projector lights and things like that all the time. So having those reminders were always helpful.
Our culture before we began this energy conservation program was basically unconcerned. We just really weren't paying much attention to it until, quite frankly, we saw utility rates go up. We could see our facility electric rate usage going up, and the costs just skyrocketed. And so it became a major concern of ours, seeing how much of our money was actually being spent on utilities and services. And ones that are, when you think about it from a business perspective, it's an overhead. It's an overhead cost that doesn't contribute directly into student achievement and student engagement activities. This was just good use of public dollars and public funds, and how could we not have taken advantage of a program like this?
I have to say I was a little bit skeptical of the energy program when they first brought it out and talked about it. I thought, how much of a difference will it really make? Well, everybody pitching in, I found out that it did make a difference, and it was just turning those computers off, turning those monitors off every night, making sure on the weekend that everything shut down. It made a difference in our overall bill.
The accomplishment of the energy program that I'm most proud of would have to be the Energy Star executive member status that San Bernardino was able to accomplish. They're the only school district in the nation to get this recognition. San Bernardino has really made a step in the right direction.
Well, let's give Daniel a round of applause for that video. Doesn't it make you proud to be part of a school district that takes such good care of our natural resources? Now we're going to segue into the recognition portion, and I would like to invite the Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Del Marsden to please join me down here at the dais. Synergistic is honoring the San Bernardino City Unified School District with the Environmental Excellence Award. This award represents the $9.4 million the district has saved in utility costs since the energy conservation program started in May of 2012. The Environmental Excellence Award is an environmentally focused award that recognizes the positive impact the district's energy program is having on natural resources. Our collaboration with Synergistic has resulted in the majority of district schools being designated as energy efficient and earning the Environmental Protection Agency's Energy Star label. With that, I would now like to invite Synergistic's Regional Vice President of Marketing, Ms. Karen McElwainey, got tripped up on that, Mrs. Karen McElwainey, to please come forward to present the award. Let's welcome Karen with a round of applause.
Thank you. Board President Gallo, board members, Superintendent Marsden, and Cabinet, it is an honor to be here tonight. 30 months ago, San Bernardino City Unified School District partnered with Synergistic to reduce your energy consumption, and you have done a phenomenal job in that. You have all come together, both the board, administration, faculty, staff, custodial, maintenance, operations, food services, your students. All of you have pulled together as a team to work on this great endeavor. And yes, you have saved over $9.4 million in energy cost. But you have also impacted an area that is critical, and that is our environment. Through your efforts, you have not only reduced your energy consumption, but you have reduced carbon dioxide that would be released into our atmosphere. You have reduced it by 12,558 metric tons. Your efforts are the equivalent of taking 2,616 cars off the roadways for 1 year. It is the equivalent of planting 322,000 trees and watching them grow over a 10-year period of time. So indeed, you have done wonderful things in reducing your energy consumption and involving your whole organization, but you've also impacted your community and your environment. And for that reason, I would like to present the Environmental Excellence Award to San Bernardino City Unified School District.
Okay.
All right, if everyone will look this way, big smile. One more. Thank you.
Okay, don't go away. Thank you, Mrs. McElwaney, for your remarks. And now I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of the people who are instrumental in ensuring success of the district's energy conservation program. When I call your name, please stand to be recognized. John Poikert, Assistant Superintendent of Facilities, Operations. Samer Al-Zubaidi, Director of Facilities Planning and Development. Come forward, Samer. Come and join us, please. Ed Norton, Director of Maintenance and Operations. Aaron Emmons. Craig Kurth. No? And Sean Harwood. And Boughton Smith. Aaron, Craig, Sean, and Boughton are the district's energy conservation specialists. Let's give them another round of applause, and we'll take one final picture.
On the count of three, 1, 2. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our special recognition. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you so very much.
Sure. Once they can see. Let me take that.
I just wanted to take a quick moment. When I do this work, I honestly envision programs like Be the One existing because I'm able to save money, keeping it from going to the utility companies and staying in here. So I really appreciate these young men and women that came up and shared their experiences, because I really do feel like what I'm doing is for them, and that it's going back into, that's what I envision when I'm doing my late night audits, my Saturday, Sunday, all those wonderful things that I get to do on the holidays, everything that I do is because I really feel like we're making a difference in keeping the money where it should be for our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wow, that 9.464 million staring us in the face here, Dr. Marsden. That's great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, really cool. Okay, let's go to item 3.1, renaming of San Bernardino City Unified School District's adult school.
You bet.
Saw
I'll
Karen.
be turning this over to Dr. Keenan Mitchell, who will introduce our guests and walk the board through our process.
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. Be happy to do so. Tonight, board, you're going to hear a proposal to rename the adult school to a name that's more consistent with the national and statewide trends of creating career pathways for adults. And so we have Dr. Karen Bautista, our principal at the adult school, and her staff and team, as well as some speakers on this issue, and they'll walk you through the new name proposal as well as the process that we use to develop buy-in and consensus around the name. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Bautista.
Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you. President of the board, Mr. Gallo, and Dr. Marsden, our superintendent, our distinguished board members, superintendent's cabinet, support staff, and community members. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I would like to introduce myself and my team. I'm the principal of San Bernardino Adult School, and this is Vice Principal Leticia Villa and Vice Principal Jesse Galdamez. And we are also joined this evening in the audience by members of our site-based marketing team at the adult school. Tonight we bring to you a recommendation to rename our school the Inland Career Education Center of the San Bernardino City Unified School District. The San Bernardino Adult School began a formalized strategic planning process in 2011 to address changes in the focus for adult education throughout the state. We developed a new mission statement to reflect these changes, and we began to build systems and capacity for changes which we knew were imminent. The new mission statement, adopted in 2011, is San Bernardino Adult School provides a bridge to post-secondary education and the labor market through the delivery of quality education. Recent legislation has limited the focus of adult education, going from 10 program areas to 5, with a laser focus on employment and transition to college for adult students. The rationale for our proposal for a name change is due to the number of major changes that adult education finds itself in the midst of. Future state funding for adult education will be directed through a regional consortium model. Federal funding distribution will also become a part of that model. This regional focus to providing career training and certification is a national model. Our name change will align our school with these efforts. Our current name is not specific about the focus of the adult school to connect and engage the community, businesses, and institutional leaders in preparing students for careers, further education, and community engagement. To this end, we hired the marketing firm Westbound Communications, located in San Bernardino, in April of 2014. And we began working with them on an internal branding and marketing strategy. We put together a team which consists of 11 individuals, including teachers and support staff. Westbound Communications led our team through a series of activities to identify how the school should be branded. Once the team had defined a messaging framework and the image we wanted to project, the firm created several name choices. The image that we wanted to project was focused on the adult school being a place that helps employers find talent and helps students and potential students become ready for careers and/or post-secondary education. As part of the process of selecting the name that we are presenting tonight in this recommendation, we have engaged over 250 voices to provide feedback. Our engagement began in December of 2014 and ran through April of 2015. Our first set of focus groups were administered by Westbound Communications and addressed name proposals and logo options. We followed up with an electronic survey for students with the same name choices and logos. And then through a second round of focus groups, we engaged faculty, students, and community members with 2 new logo options and name choices. I would like to introduce you this evening to staff and student voice, which is very important to us at the adult school, as it is throughout the entire district. First, I would like to introduce one of our students who has come to speak to the board this evening, Mr. David Ramos.
Hi, David.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm currently a student at San Bernardino Adult School. I've been there since 2013, November. Just a background information on myself. Around the age of 15, I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, which was basically a disease of the spine. And unfortunately, I had to drop out of San Bernardino High School. And ever since then, things were tough for me. And honestly, after dropping out, I felt like a failure. And fast forward to 2013, November, I found San Bernardino Adult School, and I said I want to pursue my GED. And so within a few short months, I got my GED and did it with honors, and was able to graduate, and I'm very proud of that. And after that, I did the medical math and medical terminology course there, and then I also did the medical assistant course, and now I'm currently in the vocational nursing program at the San Bernardino Adult School. So I'm going through all the medical programs.
Beautiful.
I'm very proud of that, and going to the adult school, it's very, very fulfilling, not only for me, but my fellow students. I've seen so many stories of people that have, gone through hard times and come to the adult school, and we come together, and we're like a family there. We see each other in the hallway, hi, how are you doing? And we want to push each other to go forward. It's very community-based, especially here in the city. And before going to the adult school, I wouldn't even thought of going to college. It wouldn't have been, an option, but coming to the adult school has really pushed me forward and focused my energy on education and definitely pursuing a career. After this, I want to go to become on an LVN and then go on to maybe become an RN, hopefully, going to Valley College and pursuing their LVN to RN program. And then maybe even then, I'll go to nurse practitioner. The dream, it's endless now, the dream. And so not only going to the adult school gave me my life back, but it also gave me a career.
Wow.
Thank you.
Mr. Tillman?
I don't know if this were to have input from board members, but
Well, we can do it after or whatever. but-
yeah, I have a real concern with different logos within the district. I think the district itself is a brand, and I don't know if it's a good idea to have a whole lot of different logos out there associated with the San Bernardino Unified School District. I think that we should have, one logo, and we have a logo, but in the end, when the adult school gets funding from the school district, you guys are part of the school district, right? And that's where your money, and that's where your funding comes from. We've been lucky that we kept the adult school. Other districts got rid of the adult schools. We kept ours, and it's a priority for us to keep it funded. What's that? Yeah, it was a priority for us to keep it funding, which has benefited a lot of people in the area. I mean, you talked about some of the programs you went through. And then I guess the only question I have about the naming, in terms of the state and the feds, for that matter, I know a lot of the money is associated with adult schools. So I guess somewhere in the fine print or something has to be recognized as an adult school, right? Some of the funding in legislation is written for adult schools, so I guess changing the name wouldn't change that part of it, but we need to check into that to make sure it still be considered an adult school. And I'm assuming that even though you want to call it Inland Career and Education Center, that you're still going to allow students to make up credits and get GEDs and get credits towards their diploma also, right? And I wouldn't want the name change to somehow give people the impression that, we no longer accommodate that. I really think you guys provide a tremendous service to our local citizens. I know of a whole lot of folks who have benefited from the classes offered at the adult school. I think the adult school has been a shining star within the district, has been successful. I guess I'm trying to figure out what the whole impetus was for, renaming it. Was this, did you guys have like a top 3 names?
Yes, we started with 3 names for the adult school.
Okay. Should they in here? Are they in here?
They're in our correspondence.
Okay.
You have a board correspondence on the topic.
Okay. Okay, but that's my comment.
Yeah, and you had a couple other questions, I think, at the end of the presentation
Yeah,
that can be
right,
addressed.
that's what
by
I'd
Dr.
like to
Mitchell
do. I'd
and
like to-
Dr. Bautista.
Great.
You bet.
And I would also like to introduce one of our staff members, Mrs. Melanie Pedigo.
Hi, my name is Melanie Pedigo. I'm the program specialist for career placement at the adult school, and I enthusiastically support a name change to the Inland Career Education Center because it explicitly reflects the scope of our programming and also because it aligns perfectly with our current mission and vision. We've received feedback actually over the course of 3 years from students and community stakeholders in support of this change, particularly in our career tech education programs. And they agree that this new name not only better indicates who we are and what we do, but that it also enhances our visibility and name recognition of the quality career education programs throughout the community that we do offer. We know from our data collection efforts that a great majority of our students find out about us through word of mouth and/or friend and family referrals. And while we appreciate the vote of confidence indicated by these referrals, we also desire to expand our name recognition to a much wider audience in our community, especially employers and other community partners. This name change will allow us to achieve that as we also fulfill our mission to provide a bridge to post-secondary education and the labor market. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
So there were a couple of questions raised by Mr. Tillman. I don't know if Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Bautista wants to.
So I believe one question was, will the state still acknowledge our school as an adult school? Yes. So it will not, the name change will not interrupt any funding streams or any of that kind of stuff. I believe the other question I thought you heard is, will we still offer the same programs? Yes. And so if there's other questions, be happy to address those.
Well, and just part of the adult schools that I've been affiliated with around the state through my Workforce Investment Board stuff, I think I only know of like 1 or 2 that actually still call themselves an adult school. You know, most have adopted more career-centric and work-based focused names, and from academies to, you know, leadership, and they put career centers and job centers and things like that. So that's been my experience, that very few call themselves an adult school anymore.
Now, I could go along with the name change, but I still think we should keep the one
the
logo.
logo.
I don't think we should have a different logo.
Okay, yeah, let's go around the table. Linda, why don't we start there? Then we'll Dr. Flores and Dr. Hill.
I really like the new change of the Inland Career Educational Center. I would like to see maybe underneath there, San Bernardino City Unified School District, well, somehow put adult school in there somewhere. That way there would be no question if there's that concern. But I like the idea of the Inland Career Education Center. I like your ideas, and you spent a couple of years, you know, working with this with many, many people, and I, for one, would go along with it. But maybe that last line, we could just add adult school in there, and then you wouldn't have a concern, you know. That's
Yeah, especially through a transition, so that maybe
for a
that's
transition.
Yeah, that's a good feedback. Thank you.
Dr. Flores.
That was one of my concerns too, the transition, because it's known and it's famous as the adult school. And then, you know, a place where you can, like you demonstrated, David, right, David? That you were able to go and get your GD and so forth. And that's my only concern, is the name recognition and the name change and transition. And I even thought, well, I like your idea too, what you just said, to somewhere put adult education in the bottom, or I even had Inland Career Adult Education Center, because, I mean, it is for adults, you know, but if you could put it, like Linda said, somewhere down below, it would be great. I mean, somewhere where the transition, and until we get the name, you know, identified. Because then somebody will going to say, well, what happened to the old school, you know?
Yeah, that's a great feedback. Thank you, Dr. Flores. We'll certainly put some consideration
Right.
around a transition plan with the name change.
Right, and Mr. Tillman, I do see your point of view, but I really like the logo. I mean, it just pops at you. But I understand what you're saying in terms of the, you know, us being identified as San Bernardino City Unified School District. So that will be a dilemma, you know.
Well, and we actually currently have a logo. We have not been using it for a few years because it seems like in the past 10 years, there have been 3 different logos at the adult school. And so usually, the adult school would have its own logo, just like the high schools have their own logo,
yeah.
but all of the publicity, marketing material that we send out has both logos. It definitely has
It does
the school
both,
district
okay.
logo
And
on
this-
everything we send out.
And this one that we just are seeing, the turquoise and green triangle?
This would be the new adult
The-
school
the
logo that would
logo.
be added to
I
letterhead.
like it. It would be added, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good analogy to a high school, you know, logo. Sure, great. Dr. Hill.
Thank you. I attended one meeting, and then I thought I got kicked off the committee because I didn't get invited back. But I like the logo as well. And I think sometimes when you change for marketing purposes, you do need a new brand. And but I agree with Mr. Tillman. Someplace on there should be this is a part of the San Bernardino City Unified School District. Now, does this mean, Dr. Mitchell, will they have to change their state ID? They'll continue to use the same ID?
No, we won't change the ID.
Okay, okay.
It's similar to what we did with Riley Elementary School. Yes.
Okay, amended, all right. Okay, but I also agree something should be there, so someone from the past can look at it and say, oh, that's adult ed's new name, even if you have SBC USD, but I think something should be there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've had some conversations with our marketing firm, Westbound Communications, covering the transition plan, and
Good.
definitely we want to make sure that people still know who we are, where we are.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I commend all of you for your work in this, because I know it's been a long process.
Great. Abigail and then Danny.
I just wanted to say, I actually like the name in the sense that it creates a new vision. I think that's what you guys are trying to look for, especially you guys went through the strategic planning team, and you guys had many suggestions from, I imagine, your teachers, your students, and whoever's attending the whole program. And this is what you guys came up with. But I do agree in the sense where maybe in the bottom have it said the adult school, only because it offers what they had mentioned. But I actually do like this. It's like one of the, when you have a continuation school, you know how they'll remove the continuation just to maybe take away that negative innuendo piece of it. But at the same time, you want this to look like you guys are offering these great programs. And I think that's what the name is trying to bring, is that you guys are offering these great programs. And it's not just, like a recovery piece for GED and so forth. So I do like the name, but just maybe having something just to indicate for those for the GED and piece. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Abigail. Ms. Tillman?
And maybe we should contact some of the folks at the county. The county has went through this extensive, part of this whole extensive change where they're forcing all departments to standardize, because they did a big study from a firm, spent a whole bunch of money, and realized the importance of having the brand be standard in terms of your logos, your colors. And if we're going to do this, then you have to decide if you're going to have other logos, then on your websites, where should the logo be? Because what happens is people get confused when they're on a website, not realizing that that's part of San Bernardino City Unified School District, because there is a different logo, and then not realizing that the governing board is the same governing board that's over that, and the same superintendent. So it creates actually confusion for people who want to use the services. And it does make a big difference. Once you start standardizing, then you realize that a person can, I guess the best example is you go to websites. If you go to the school district's website, or if you go directly, for instance, to the adult school website, you have to realize immediately that it's part of the school district. And one of the best and easiest way to understand that is to see the school district's logo. Now, if the board wants to go along with having every school with their own logo, then you want to have
They do. They have one.
Well, my point is, make sure that you have a policy that says the district's logo has to go in a certain area every time, the same way, the same color, and then if you want another logo, it goes someplace else. But you want to have some type of standardization, because it benefits.
Well, and I think what I heard is that you will still retain the San Bernardino City Unified School District's current logo prominently displayed. I'm not sure we've specifically said it's always going to be in the upper right-hand corner or blah, blah, blah. That might be a good idea, Danny, to actually have that kind of standardization, I think. But that will certainly be a prominent part displayed on websites, printed material, et cetera. And I really like the idea of the transition plan too, that says, formally adult school, or something that identifies it as the adult school. And I mean, I think those are all great comments, guys. Sorry, Danny.
Is there a cost associated with the change? Are you going to change all your business cards and websites and that kind of stuff immediately? And if so, how much is it going to cost us?
Yeah, I'm sure there's definitely a cost associated, but we have been saving and putting money aside in a line item for that.
It'd be good to hear what the cost is. I know what the county did is they just did it as you change out and order new stuff, then you make the change. Because the cost could be substantial. If you said we're going to change everything that has the old logo to the new logo, including stationery and everything else, that could be substantial.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I know in a digital world, they could change literally overnight, but you're talking about catalogs, printed material, things that are standard, yeah. And I'm sure, yeah, signage and all that stuff, sure. And you'll let us know the transition plan, I'm sure. Dr. Hill?
Yeah, and I just wanted to share with Mr. Tillman, it's just like San Gorgonio, San Bernardino High, all of the high schools have their own logo. So adult ed is doing the exact same thing. But I know with the all of the other post-high school type buildings, such as IAU and ITT and all of those, you don't want anybody to get confused that this is an institution now that we're going to have to charge. We will be charging people. So I think that's the importance of have the SBC, the school district, on there. But I think it's good that you have come up with your own logo.
Great job, guys. I love it. Thank you. Any further questions? Great. Excellent job. Thank you from the students and teachers, and Karen, especially your leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Batista.
Okay, that will be a consent item we'll adopt later and vote on later. We're going to item 4.1, our local control accountability plan and the 2015-16 budget adoption.
Yes, Mr. Galvin, this is just a brief overview given the discussion of the last board meeting on both the local control accountability plan and the budget, preliminary budget. This would be the review and the budget adoption itself. So with that, Dr. Zamora, just briefly wanted to provide you a highlight.
So we'll kind of shoot to finish this up in 20 minutes, and we'll jump right into public
will be
hearing.
like a minute or two conversations
comment.
around
Alright.
4.1,
Perfect.
5.1, you bet.
Perfect.
Thank you, Dr. Marston. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, it's a brief recap of our process that we've been going through throughout the year. And so if we can go to slide 1. So tonight, we're presenting our local control and accountability plan, which is still deemed as a draft until our board adopts it. Per Education Code 52061, the local control plan must be updated on a yearly basis. Throughout the revision process this year, we've engaged our stakeholders to collect their input and thoughts as we draft our plan this school year, which is a 3-year plan. However, we did make some adjustments to certain areas depending on the input we received from the community, and we wanted to reflect those in the plan. The goals are still the same as we move forward in implementing our plan throughout the district. At the last board meeting on June 2nd, we presented it to our board, and we also had the public hearing, which is part of the process that we need to follow. Today, the revised draft of the LCAP is being presented to our governing board for adoption. Once adopted, we will file it with the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools for their county approval, and we will receive notification sometime in August. Our local control plan continues to be a living document that will help us continue to meet the needs of our students as we move forward in our progress towards meeting the goals outlined in the plan, as well as meeting the 8 state priorities. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Janet King. She will guide us through the rest of the slides. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Dr. Zamora. Moving on to this slide 3, we just want to remind you that with the May revision, the district estimate for 2015-16 revenue had increased by an approximately $43.4 million in LCFF and one-time funding. We did have to make some adjustments, required adjustments to the budget to the tune of about 6.4 million, and then we had some adjustments for special education that we have included in the budget. However, due to the short timelines, we didn't have enough time to bring these topics to, as far as allocation of the dollars to the board and go through our normal process, which is has been our Community Budget Advisory Coalition Extended Cabinet for input. So what we did is we built in placeholders. $10 million has been allocated to the existing LCAP priorities. It's a placeholder. We do need to come back and discuss those further. A second placeholder was put in for one-time discretionary funds of $10 million. And the remainder is left in the unassigned ending fund balance. So there's $10.6 million remaining from the new funding and an estimated $1.9 million, which is additional beginning balance into the 15-16 school year after we've done our projections for 14-15. So moving to the next slide.
So Janet, we actually were required to allocate someplace, some portion or a third, two-thirds of the dollars. We couldn't have just thrown it all in an undesignated fund balance for,
We probably could have done that. However, when it comes to the budget process and the technical, mechanical pieces of moving dollars in the new year, it's much easier if you have some of it allocated
okay.
rather than.
And this is probably a reasonable estimate, I think, anyway.
yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks.
So moving to the next slide, slide 4. Again, you have, it's the same multi-year projections that we had reflected at the June 2nd preliminary hearing. We have the 14-15 anticipated balances, and then we have 15-16 projections along with 16-17 and 17-18. And again, you can see the 12.5 million is the combined 10.6 million of new funding and the additional 1.9 million that's we believe is carrying forward from 14-15. Moving on to the next slide, which is the timeline. This is the timeline and steps that we will be using and following to set and motion the process to discuss and allocate those funds and bring them to the board and look for direction as to how we're actually going to finally allocate those dollars.
So then, looks like the beginning, August 4th, the board will have an opportunity to provide its input or assessment based on the prior
Right, so
hearings, as well as on August 18th for final approval, right? Yeah.
That's correct. So we have June 16th, which is today. Mid-July, we'll begin our meetings and there's discussions to identify some priorities.
Okay, great. Mr. Tillman and then Dr. Flores. Thank you, Janet.
I think, I know even with the 1.9 million, and I'm assuming that where you have the allocated to existing categories, you're saying it's a placeholder. So we haven't done that. You guys is using it as a placeholder. I'm assuming that because the one below it says one-time discretionary funds, that this top one is ongoing funding?
The
one you have listed is LCAP?
Yes, the LCAP is ongoing, are ongoing dollars.
And then the one for, so you say an unassigned fund balance for one-time cost. So that's one-time money also?
Yes, that's correct.
And how about the $1.9 million?
The 1.9 million is what we are projecting now as additional fallout from 14-15, additional unspent balances. So for that purpose, it's really one-time dollars moving forward.
One time.
But I think it's critical, and I want to make sure we don't fall into a habit of just calling everything one time, but really not, because you really can't treat ongoing money differently than you would one-time money. So I hope we're taking the extra effort to ensure that it is. And I would just suggest that, looking at the timeline, that the board going into next year's budget process start a lot sooner in terms of having items that we think we want to spend money on, because just the mere fact that you don't approve it until August the 18th means that it's going to be challenging to spend the money, especially if you to spend the money in that school year, just because it takes so long to process, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I really think we should be having discussions about things we want to spend money on, and a lot of it could be assigned to even our a top 10 list of bringing things back, and I've had discussion with some board members about items that, you know, we got rid of, and I know I talked today to Linda about the ninth grade stuff that we got rid of that was really working and that type of thing. So I think the sooner we bring it back, the better. I know maybe we'll handle this process, but I know I had mentioned having agendized, and I still want to have it agendized, to talk about eliminating the wait list for CAPS, to have that agendized so the board can take it up and down, because that's another item. In order to eliminate a wait list, then we got the CAPS program have to hire more people and that type of thing in order to do it. You can't do it overnight, so the sooner we do it, the better. I know this seems kind of benign, this long list of dates, but for stuff like that is almost...
Well, technically, we'll be into our next year at this time. When does school start?
The first week in August.
First week.
So technically, we're in, before we finish the budget, I mean, we're already into expenditures on the first year by definition. So I hear you, and starting way earlier.
Right, but you're making a
year.
you're making a good point. My point is this: you can't legally use the expenditures until we take action. So
Hear you.
if you look at this paper, we don't approve it until August. So you won't be spending money. You can't spend money until you do it.
Well,
So
technically, they will be spending money.
not this money.
Really?
No.
Really?
You can't.
That will be interesting. That's an interesting concept, because I think you will be spending it.
No, that's why you have placeholders.
But you're going to be spending the dollars because you're opening school on the first week of August, and you got 2 weeks
Mr.
prior to
Gallo,
approval
Mr.
of
Gallo,
the option of the budget.
You're going to spend the existing money that you budgeted
Your
already.
carryover dollars only? That's what?
You won't be spending carryover dollars that haven't been allocated at this board meeting. Legally, you can't. Legally, you can't spend money that the board hasn't approved.
Okay, Danny, what do you think you're going to spend in the first week when students start arriving?
No, we have a budget that's been approved.
Right.
My point
Yeah.
is, the new money you
Right,
want to spend.
I hear you. Yep.
And that's a problem, because
I hear you.
because you start spending it
Right.
so late,
It's late, right.
you can't use it for those students. My only point is, you're making my point.
Yep.
That
The new money
we should have this calendar
Yeah,
backed up so we can, spend some of it.
So couldn't we move
Good
this
point.
faster? Couldn't we move the calendar a little bit before?
We just got the new money. That's why we're a little bit behind, because we just got the new money.
Well,
And I agree with Danny. What are our priorities? What are the board's priorities? For example, are we going to give more money for the arts, and in terms of where and what? The ninth grade student-teacher ratio reduction, is that where we want to put it? And why couldn't we do it on August 4th? I mean, I know people are taking vacations, but I mean, we could, meet, I don't know, maybe revise the timeline so that they can spend the money. So, I think that, I think we can, but what you said, Mr. Gallo, is we've already passed a basic budget, I believe, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Marsden?
Yeah.
And this is the additional money.
Right.
So.
And we did have a subcommittee meeting to discuss the board priorities and our action item lists and things, follow-up lists and
Today.
things today. And we can present at the next board meeting, which I think will be third Tuesday in July, I guess.
That was my
for
question,
that
too.
next priority. Why don't we bring those to the board for consideration of adoption or that is a minimum discussion.
Right.
At our next board meeting, okay? You
Right,
guys?
next
So at
board
least we can start that process and prioritization.
Right.
Great comments, Danny. Thank
But
you.
then again, would that, because see, we're going to be only having one board meeting in July,
Right.
so couldn't we utilize another additional meeting with that, so we can try to hurry up with the process? I don't know if that's even
Well,
possible.
I think we probably want to let the public participation roll. And remember, this is summer, it's kind of people's, this is probably about as aggressive as you're going to get, I think, in pulling some meaningful public participation in this process. And, but that doesn't have to stop the board from indicating its priorities, And
Correct.
if we need to visit again and have another, why don't we see what it looks like in mid-July at our next meeting?
There are often times, you as a board have things that are critical, that are timeline sensitive. You have to bring them up, you have to talk about those things and make decisions. And we have a process that we've put into place, and it is expedited, as Mr. Gallo outlined. It's a very condensed process, given the dates that are there, to engage our community of stakeholders in dialogue around what are our broad priorities. You have a lot of folks in the community have a lot of differing needs that you've heard before the dais. I'm sure you'll hear more even tonight. And so trying to balance those, we want to bring you a good, solid base of recommendations so you as a board can take action. That doesn't preclude the board from bringing items sooner.
Well, and I think what we'd like to see is that, when we do have some of these public meetings, it probably would be helpful for the board priorities at least to be outlined and showcased as part of that consideration, so we can actually have public dialogue
Without a
around
doubt.
those and things. So,
Yeah, I don't see that here.
well, it isn't really,
Right.
but I think at our.
I think it should be, because we
I
are the
hear you.
board.
But they've had enough meetings, so they have that information. Now, what's missing out of this timeline is, there's nothing, you don't have, we're not doing anything in July.
You're only doing one meeting.
No, on this timeline. On the timeline, there is nothing in here that comes to the board in July. There's no reason why we couldn't get something in July.
Well, and maybe that meeting, whatever the date is, the 18th or something, 17th?
21st.
21st. We could add a 21st item at least to prioritize
That's right.
at that board meeting our top priorities, and then have that reflected in, the whatever public dialogue you're going to have in here.
That's what I mean, if there's some top issues that we can bring in July.
Right.
And vote them up and down to start the process. And let me tell you what my perspective is. If these were cuts, then everybody would be talking about having extra meetings to make sure we make the cuts. If we had to have 3 extra meetings to make the cuts, we would do it. But we don't get excited about spending the money, and that's why we have money left over.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And I know the process, and I'm telling you, it looks like it's no big deal to have August 18th, the day that we approve it, but that pushes everything out.
It does.
And it slows everything down. And the concern I have, they're going to, all the items are going to be based on a whole year's worth of expenses. Every time you eliminate a month, that's money that's not going to be spent in that school year. And so you end up with large ending balances because the money never gets spent and never benefits the kids. We should be excited about finding ways to spend this money on the
Right.
kids now.
Exactly.
Right. And so I just
And
wanna
what we
have-
can also do is have a subcommittee of the board come together prior to the July 21 meeting to vet some of these pieces out.
that'd be great.
So when we come in on the 21st, you have a clear sense of, what are things that are, as you've expressed, Mr. Tillman, timeline sensitive. Some things you maybe need to act on sooner than waiting till, you've had a chance to vet all that through the full process. But you have a full process so that you can make sure that you get appropriate feedback. So we want to bring you recommendations as a cabinet, going through all those priorities and balancing that, and we'll do that. And we'll have a subcommittee of the board come together before the 21st and have a priority list on that day.
And I guess I just want to, for clarification's sake, the extended cabinet meetings you're referencing here are those formally public meetings where we actually had members of our
Correct.
Budget Advisory Committee and things.
So, for example, in the extended cabinet meetings, we have all of our union leaders are present. All of our community group leaders are present. They're specifically invited to attend those meetings, and we don't limit the number of people they can bring as a group. We want to make sure that everybody's voice is really a part of the process. You, as a board, often send the members of your budget subcommittee to attend the meeting as well, so your voice is heard. And it is our intention to bring priorities of the board to this group as well. Some of those priorities may or may not have time to be vetted out and brought back to you as, yeah, everybody in the community says these are, top on their list too,
So the point is, we may on July 15th actually want to have our board priorities perhaps available for the extended cabinet to
Yeah,
take
that
a
would
look
be
at.
ideal.
Would be the ideal way of doing it.
That would be ideal.
That would probably mean we'd have to at least have a meeting to, if we wanted to formally adopt those things as a kind of a single agenda item meeting.
One of the challenges we do face is we have a lot of staff gone and people gone. I myself am gone for a week and a half, I think, for the Footsteps to Freedom Underground Railroad trip.
That's right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a number of people actually, and some of our
Yeah, I'm
community
gonna be
leaders
in
are also
DC
gone.
too, yeah.
So, but we will be sure to walk through this process in such a way that, board, you'll be able to take action on the 21st on some of these top priorities and get that.
So is that why we're only having one board meeting, is because of the
Yeah.
14th would, even if we look at the 7th, July the 7th, there's no board, we're going to cancel that one. Moving it to the 14th, that one's where most of the trips is happening,
Yeah.
is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
So I still have
Okay.
questions.
Sure.
And I was second.
Let's see, Dr.
was-
Flores, then we'll go Dr. Hill, and then
Well,
Abbott.
I think Abigail is after me.
Okay,
And then
fine.
Dr. Hill. So Janet, the 1.9 million, is that the carryover from the LCAP unspent money?
No, we actually had projected a 10.5 million carryover on LCAP. This is just each year, when we get closer to the end of the year, we review our projections on where we think expenditures
So
will
this
be.
is what's left
And that's
over.
just additional dollars that we think will
Okay.
fall out.
And out of the 20 million that we have, that is LCAP allocated and one-time discretionary funds, how much of that is the concentration supplemental funds?
I can get that information for you. I didn't break it down that way when we allocated it. We allocated it because we are so high supplemental and concentration
Right.
and duplicated count. Most of what we generally tend to think of it's all that way.
So I really would like to know what those numbers are,
Sure.
because I think I've asked, this is the third time I've asked for it. And
It
I really
was-
need to know, I
It
would
was
like to know that.
presented, it was presented at our last
Yeah.
workshop.
Oh, it was,
Yes.
it was gone, okay.
It was
all right.
presented at last
All
workshop.
right, okay.
We can get you, we can.
But
we
is
can
it?
pro-
We'll get that
Is
to
it
you.
in our packet from
It
last?
was in the presentation from the last meeting,
Oh,
so
so
you
I
should
didn't
have
get that.
received
But
it.
I didn't get those.
We'll
Yeah.
get you that information. We
Absolutely.
can do that.
Yeah, they were good charts.
But Dr. Flores, remember that almost 90% of our kids qualify for free and reduced lunch.
Right,
So-
96,
96, so that brings in all the money.
right.
You don't get extra money because you're foster care, or you don't get extra.
No, I understand,
Oh,
but that is the supplemental and concentration.
Right, but we
monies.
get it because we have such a high level of
Right,
students that
right.
are, that qualify for free and reduced lunch. That's where we get all the money from. So almost all the kids bring in extra money.
Right, and the reason I'm raising it is because that money is directed to direct services for the kids. And so it can't be spent for other things. I mean, it has to be teachers' aides or additional teachers or programs for the kids, but it has to be direct services for our students.
Increased or improved services
Right,
is what the law
increasing,
reads,
yeah,
correct.
Exactly.
You guys may say that, but legally, it's just like Prop 98 money. There's no legal restrictions on the money.
Yes, there is.
Well, are there legal restrictions on the money, Janet? Is it unlike Prop 98 money?
Is very much like Prop 98.
Yeah.
The way the law reads is that we must increase the achievement of or services to the students, so and in particular, the unduplicated count students. So it kind of wears both hats.
So you're both right.
Yes.
No, we need to be clear that the money is not restricted. It's just like we used to get Prop 98 money.
Correct, it is not restricted.
No.
And it is to be used for increasing and improving services. That's how the law.
Oh, exactly. And remember this, though. I think this is the part that's critical. Because, as you said, Dr. Flores, 96% of our students qualify just based on social economics.
Right.
So that means all our money has to be used to address those kids. So all the money has to be used to address, it's no different than when we got Prop 98 money. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
There is nothing where it's cut out for special stuff. There's not.
Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yes, it has to go for direct services. Right, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, great. Abigail, you want next?
I just want some clarification regarding, so this is for the LCAP, and so the students, the school sites wouldn't receive the money until after we approve it, right?
If there's additional dollars to the school sites, they wouldn't receive it till after they approve, until
Right.
after it's approved.
Additional
Although they
dollars.
do get a substantial allocation before this, yes.
Before the school starts. Okay.
And an increase from this last school year. We've already incorporated that.
We've done that.
Right.
Right, we've already done that.
And this is even.
This is just the May revised
Exactly.
edition, right? But to Danny's point, we'll basically lose a month of having school site expenditure on that, basically. You know, so by not approving it this earlier than this.
Right.
I mean, we might want to also prioritize technology, additional technology.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway.
Great.
I guess just a plan, just to make sure that we do for future budget piece, just try to make sure we have everything set before the school starts, just to have a habit. If that's,
Absolutely.
we can do that.
Great, thank you, Abigail. Dr. Hill?
Thank you. I want to thank Janet for this report. Thank you so much. And I feel really good because I'm understanding them better and better every time one comes through. My concern may be indirectly pertaining to the funds here. My concern is when school starts in August, I hope it's not this budget that will affect whether or not all of our students will have Chrome notebooks so they can all start school the first day of August with a Chrome notebook. And I don't know if you answer that or Dr. Mitchell. My concern is when I drive around the first day of school, I want to see Chrome notebooks under the kids' arms or a little indenture in the backpack that they have a Chrome notebook.
We are on schedule to do a deep training in July and August. We're planning to train 10,000 people, the 5,000 kids and a parent. How it will work. All of our kids have been called through AutoCall, and Barbara's team and Dillip's team are working those issues right now. It's a heavy lift, but we're confident that we'll make it happen. And so kids will show up at all 6 comprehensive high schools. They'll sign in and they'll be checked out their device. They'll go to a training room with their parent and learn how to use it with our teachers and staff, as well as student leaders and ASB kids. And so it's a lot of fanfare to this, and we're very excited about it. But kids will have their device as early as July.
As early as July?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
great.
We're starting the training and device distribution for July and August.
And Dr. Hill, you may remember Sonny McPeak and the California Emerging Technology Fund. They gave us $100,000 to support our teachers and parents in funding this training, this rollout of the technology, because all of the studies showcase, and there's several of them that showcase, you need to have deliberate use of this technology in the home that's managed well, or you can actually see less student achievement occur if it's improperly deployed. And so we did get a $100,000 grant to roll that out and pay for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll bring an update to the board in our late July board meeting. By that time, we'll be well into the process.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's great.
But I think it's important to remember, and I understand we got to do it in an orderly way, but I did meet with parents and students, and some of them did not get the phone call. So I'm assuming whatever matrix or criteria that Dr. Mitchell used, some of the students didn't get phone calls, but they are students who do not have the internet and the computer at home. So I guess the question is, and we can get the information later, I think we should start asking how many households do we have, and we may have to purchase more, and this would be the time to have the discussion of purchasing more devices, so that when we meet with certain groups of students, and I tell them we're going to have Chromebooks, and you should have got a call, and they tell me I didn't, and I don't have a computer at home, and I don't have the internet at home. We want to get to a point where we meet with kids that everyone has the internet and the computer at home. That's what our goal should be. Right. And I'm hoping that the district staff is going to take that as the charge and find ways to make that happen.
Yes, we're also, we started with a list with our highest need kids and went down that list. We also engaged our counselors and word of mouth as well. The names that you sent me, I forwarded on to staff and making sure that those kids are being taken care of. We also know that phone numbers changed. We're using our ARIES system, so if our system doesn't have correct phone numbers, they won't get a call. But we've advised all of our principals, we've advised our counselors. We have our foster youth advocate working on those things, our homeless liaisons working on those things. So hopefully we'll capture as many kids as we can.
Does it seem like the 5,000 is still in the ballpark?
Yes, we're scheduled to distribute 4,500 devices. We're going to hold back 500 to do replacements or damage and that kind of thing, and training devices.
And that seems to be enough to fulfill what Mr. Tillman characterizes the requirement?
Well, we got
that
the
every kid-
5,000 initially based upon the survey that we did with students at the close of the SBAC testing. We found that 10% of the kids reported that they did not have a device and internet at home.
Right.
I would imagine that probably wouldn't be enough if we did a deeper study, but we'll see how this goes out. We'll do another survey at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year.
Well, and I guess the point was, is if we
include-
find out sooner than later, we can have a budget allocation
Yes.
line
Yeah,
item
absolutely.
to purchase more or know that we're fine
Yeah,
in this, yeah.
Yeah, be happy to investigate that further and give the board a recommendation.
Dr. Hill?
And my last question, are we using social media in all of the newspapers to get this information out? Or if we're not, could we possibly do that?
Yeah,
'Cause I know a lot of things that I see on Facebook, I will share.
Absolutely.
You
I don't believe we use social media. It was a pretty quick ramp up, and so we started with our free and reduced lunch, and we went with our most poverty, our kids in with the highest level of poverty, and we went down to 5,000 and did auto calls, and we got a great response. We have kids up to 4,500 that have indicated that they want a device.
Okay.
But I think that at some point, we should have something out there that says, if you don't have the internet and the computer at home, contact the district, and let's see what those numbers are. And see what it would take to buy additional computers to make sure they have them in their hands.
Well, Dr. Hill might just put that in one of her...
There you go, put that on
her-
your Facebook.
Oh, no, and in her article, right at the tail end of the article or something. I mean,
And the cost was $2 million, right, for these devices?
You're looking closer to $3 million when you add in the T-Mobile internet access. So we purchased 5,000 devices for $2.4 million, $500,000 for the T-Mobile account for 1 year of internet access, and then that doesn't include our training costs.
There you go.
We have $100,000 that the district put in. We have a $100,000 grant from Sonny McPeak's organization. So I'd say for 5,000 devices. We also have to spend another $100,000 on after-hour support.
Sure.
One of the things that we discovered today and in conversation is that parents will need a line to call and get help and so on and so forth.
Sure. Right.
So we are going to contract out for some technical assistance up to 8 p.m.
Right.
at night throughout the year. So that's another $100,000. So I'd say 5,000 devices is costing us around $3.5 million.
And then we actually probably hire more staff too, right?
Yes, that's a deep consideration that both our IT department and our accountability and research department, because of the shift in way that technology is being used in the classroom, we do not have enough staff capacity to handle what we're doing. So we're borrowing from other departments right now to make this initiative happen. Our goal and intent is to get through the summer and distribute these devices, use it as a learning opportunity, and then ramp up the appropriate staff in order for us to
And
support
I think we
this
should see what budget.
Staffing items in the budget.
Exactly, and that's the
what
reason
you're
why I
saying,
asked
yeah.
about available ongoing costs, because you could use that available ongoing additional money to pay for stuff like that.
Yeah.
You gotta have staffing, you gotta do it right, and you guys have hammered that, and I agree. And that's one of the ways you're not gonna be successful if we don't have staff to support it. So I agree with you on all
Yeah,
that.
I would recommend that you, calculate the amount of staff that you need. And the types and the positions, so that we would have the support system to make sure that this is successful. And you
this
should
is-
estimate or get as close as you guys can.
Right.
Without, what kind of support do you need? And how many, positions and so forth.
I'd also like you to think about this as a student internship kind of thing as well, because having an opportunity for some of our kids to maybe participate in this career pathway
We actually are
approach would
doing
be
that.
a fabulous
We have 60 of our
experience.
high school kids that will all get a Chromebook and will become trainers.
That's great.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's great.
That's
Cool.
That's
I
your
would-
career
I would-
pathway right there.
This is it. That's exactly right, Danny. Yeah. Yeah, great. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Thank you, Dr. Marsden. Okay, let's jump into public,
We do have one public comment on.
okay, on this, and then let's jump
Yeah.
right into our public comments as well,
We
because
we can do that.
we're what, about 7:13, so let's just,
The board welcomes ICUC on item 4.1, Local Control Accountability Plan. Is there a member from ICUC that wishes to speak to the board? Fantastic, welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Arroyos.
Welcome.
My name is Ariana Corona.
My name is Francisco Lopez.
Good evening. My name is Miguel Machado, and I'm here representing ICUC, England Congregation United for Change. And we are here tonight because we want to applaud the work that has already been done and continues to be done on parent engagement, creating the parent centers and parent universities, bringing English language learner support, and the decreased suspensions here in our district. We realize that the suspension rates are decreasing and that efforts are being done to go from zero tolerance policies to a more positive alternative approach, but also realize that there is still a lot more to be done. Oakland, which is a comparable district to ours, just voted to invest at least $2.3 million to expand restorative justice practices in its schools. We know that we are currently piloting restorative justice at certain schools, but would like to see budget increase to reflect the expansion to a full implementation of restorative practices and district staff professional development in all of our schools in the San Bernardino Unified School District. We also continue to advocate for full implementation of PBIS and would also like to budget to reflect that as well. Most importantly, we recommend that our goal for the district to be to get as close as possible to zero out of school suspensions. If PBIS and restorative justice is well implemented, proper professional development for district staff is ongoing. And if we have enough counselors in our schools to support students with academic and social emotional counseling, we will be able to create real positive school climate change in our schools. We firmly believe that if we continue to work towards full implementation of these positive alternative approaches to discipline and continue to invest in proper support and professional development that our district staff need, we will create the real school safety and students and district staff need and deserve. Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Thank you very much. And want to make sure that the four of you note that on July 15th, you'll be receiving an invite to further share your thoughts with our extended cabinet meeting attendees if you're available. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, Dr. Marsden, let's go into other public comments.
You bet, we can do that. The board welcomes several members on the same topic, so we'll ask you to organize yourselves accordingly, and we'd give you a complete time of no more than 30 minutes as a group. And the topic is substitute teachers' wages. So if you're here to speak to the board on that topic, if you could please come to the podium and organize yourselves, either one person speaking for all or a number of you speaking, but please organize yourselves to speak to the board within a no more than 30-minute window. Thank you. Welcome.
Hey, my name is Ron Fletcher, and I'm substitute teacher.
Now, use the microphone there, Mr. Fletcher, or if you want to grab one of the portable ones, we can use that as well.
All right, I have a bunch of substitutes that would like to talk to you about the substitute wages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass out something to the board that the board should know about because they passed all of these within the last month or so. So while I'm doing that, I will let the other substitutes talk to you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, board members and managers. And my name is Teresa Rayberg, and I'd just like to comment on the substitute teachers in the district. And I understand it's being negotiated, and it's like still in no pass.
Thank you, sir.
And so we want to be treated as an equal basis as the managers and the teachers and classifieds that got their raise and retroactive. And I feel that it's really important for substitute teachers to get the same pay because it's really important to the other community, other districts, because I understand the Adelanto School District is getting paid $135 per diem and $155 if it's over 20 days. And now that school district is a really small school district, and our district is very large. So I feel we should be at least paid the similar as the $135. So I know the negotiation's been a standstill, so that's why I'm here, to try to influence to get our raise. And also, as a classified employee, I was at San Bernardino High School. I'd just like to say, when I was there, I was a secretary, and I also was in charge of substitute teachers. So at that time, I saw substitute teachers leave classrooms because they could not handle the control of the classroom. So if we don't have the same pay as the other districts, we're going to lose some of our substitute teachers to other districts because of our rate is not the same as their rate. So
What do we pay now?
we pay $130.
$130?
Yeah. So I'm just saying, it might not seem that important, but, you know, it will maybe make the difference. And then also, our class size, my understanding, is going to be raised because we lost the QEAI funding. So now our classroom could be like 45 in the classroom. So if we don't have good substitute teachers in the classroom, we're going to lose management and control of the students. And that's why I'm here, for the students. So
Thank you very much.
I am Major DeBow. I've been working here in our district for about 8 years. 3 of those years was a full-time teacher, ROTC. And I'd like to thank all of you for what you've done or what you are continuing to do. You're doing a great job. I would also like to reiterate that we're all members of a team, and that as a team member, we're making hope happen. And the way we're making hope happen is that all members of the team are maximizing the ability to engage students in terms of education process. Needless to say, every team member should have an expectation of being of the same value. We rate that value at least two ways. The first way is being accepted as a contributing member with skills to be utilized for the team. We know that the NBA finals are going on right now, and I can think of two contributing team members on opposite teams, Stephon Curry, LeBron James, and the rest of the team is evaluated in conjunction with supportive roles. However, every member has received a contract for X number of dollars. Now, we already know that the regular teachers have received their contracts. Classified employees have received their contract, and management has received their contract. We now have one other team member to consider contracts. And what we ask of you is that our contract are equal to what the other contracts have been received already, i.e., 5% pay increase, retroactive July 1st, 2014, additional 2% pay increase effective July 1st, 2015. Again, I say thank you for all that you've done. We appreciate being a member of your team, and we shall continue to make educational strides for you.
And the score is 45-43, Golden State right now.
My name is Rochelle Capozia. I'm one of the chief stewards at Communication Workers for America, representing substitute teachers. I'm here also asking for equity in the disbursement of monies. One of the things I wanted to point out is that in SBTA, they got a boost because the district picked up their health insurance increase, I understand. And so while that wasn't a direct raise in benefits, it certainly was, a considerable amount in their pockets. I also want to congratulate everyone here on the way you're coordinated. You look really nice when they were taking your pictures. So, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Teresa Hunter, and I'm also a substitute teacher in the district, as well as other districts. It's really important for this district to try to keep pace with the other districts. The other districts are, everybody watches each other, okay? And incidentally, Moreno Valley, some of you know about Moreno Valley. Moreno Valley has, in the last year, they've raised their pay for the substitute teachers, and they also pay the substitute teachers for the conference periods. They are careful about that because they understand how important it is for, as we all experience price increases across the board for everything from gasoline to utilities, they understand how important it is for people to be able to continue to drive their cars, to come to work, to go to the market, to pay the utility bills, etc. So that being the case, it's really important that San Bernardino continue to do the same. I do applaud the fact that San Bernardino is one of the districts that does actually listen to the substitute teachers, okay? We're all here this evening in this forum, and you guys are looking at us, and we're looking at you, and we're all talking to each other. So that doesn't happen everywhere else. There's one district to the south of us, immediately to the south of us, that's also a large district, and that district is actually rated, because, you know, substitute teachers all talk, everybody talks to each other. That district is rated like the bottom of all regional districts, the bottom in every way, pay, communication, etc. But that being said, we surely don't want San Bernardino to go that direction. San Bernardino is making good strides, it's going in the right direction, but we do need to have the pay increase, and we need it to be comparable to other progressive districts. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to say, with all that's going on, especially, I would say mostly gas prices and other prices that are going up, that I would like to see us have equal raises. If other people got a certain raise, I'd like to see us get the same. We work hard to do the plans left by the teacher, and we hope you'll consider that when you think about what you will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Joseph Cisneros. I'm a substitute. It's a pleasure to be a substitute in this district. I substitute in other districts also, but this is one of my favorite districts, and I don't want San Bernardino to lag behind. I have a district that was paying 120, and they thought, oh man, we're paying a lot of money. And Moreno Valley raised it to 135, 150, whatever it is, and they have a hard time getting someone to sub in their district. You know, they can't get anyone. They can't figure out why. And we have to stay competitive, and I just would like to ask the board and the management to negotiate in good faith with our union, and the union negotiate in good faith with you. A lot of people have expressed a lot more eloquently what's going on, and I think that you'll find a good number for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Good evening. My name is Kolsum Ramtula. I am one of your subs. I am one of your lower paid subs because I am certificated. So my day pay is $75 on a sole income that really isn't much to get by. And I do want to thank you for the other stuff you have done. My children, 4 children have gone through the school district. We've strived through the district. I just want to share a moment with you. Before school ended, I was blessed with a 6-week assignment. In this 6 weeks assignment, I formed attachments to my children. It was preschool. On the last day, a mother came up to me, and I'm a little emotional. She got a little emotional, so we all got sentimental, and she told me that, you know, my child, the whole school year would not get up and get ready to go to school. I was yanking him out of bed. But the day you came, the next day he got up himself and dressed himself and said, Miss R said that I am a big boy and I need to take care of myself. And I'm sure I said the same thing his teacher said and other teachers before me. But I made a difference, and I knew I made a difference, and I enjoy my job. I just want you guys to be able to see that we work really hard, really hard. And I would rather do nothing but substitute. I love it. I've had to consider other jobs only because of the pay, but I do not want to leave the district. I hope you would consider that. Thank you.
Question for you?
Yes.
You mentioned you only get $75 because of what?
Certificated, which means me and a handful of other subs have not completed our bachelor's.
Oh.
So we're certificated with AA and teaching permits, which allows us only to sub for infant, toddler, and preschool.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Maximilian Mena. I am been a substitute for this district for about 2 years now. I attended school with Mr. Tillman's daughter, Eva, at Roosevelt. I attended Richardson, so I'm accustomed to this district. I mean, I grew up here, went to school at Cal State San Bernardino, got my bachelor's degree there. And so I've been in this community for a long time, born and raised. So I have a connection to it. I love being in the district. I was fortunate enough to have a long-term, back-to-back long terms in Arrowview Middle School, covering 7th grade for social studies and for English. And then I got a 2-week assignment at the same school, Arrowview, with math for 8th grade. And you make connections with these children, and at times you have a few knuckleheads here and there, whether this district or another, that tend to get under your skin, and that cause problems not just for substitutes, but as well for the regular educators. And we notice a lot of substitutes kind of back away from certain districts because of these children. But when you come from this city and you know what it's about and what to expect, and you can push through it and make connections with children, I mean, that's what we love to do as educators. Because of this last half year, being at Arrowview, connecting with the children, I mean, it pushed me to pursue my schooling. So I'm going to go back, get my master's in education, probably go towards the social studies realm. And it was great, but the thing is, we aren't getting what we need. I mean, we have the PBIS skills. I was fortunate enough to be at the school that implemented them and to where I was able to learn them. But some of my colleagues aren't able to. I mean, you go to a site for a day and then you have to find another job for the next day, and you have to set up. And the problem with that is you don't get your feet settled into a specific spot, and it's difficult, I mean, to say the least, to, how would I put this, difficult to just get in the groove to where, okay, this is the routine that this teacher has for the students, and I'm able to do it day in, day out. So you go into a new site, you have a new classroom with new students, and students, I'm a student, we were all students. We know substitute teacher, they won't remember my name unless someone says my name or there is a seating chart, so they try to get away with things. I have somewhat a quick memory, so if I'm there for 2 days, I know their name the next day, and they're like, how do you know my name? I called your name and roll, and you said here. So, I mean, making connections with the kids, greeting them at the door, that's the great part. But again, like I said, you have these substitutes that they come into a school, and these kids run them over, and they're not prepared. And to entice them back, I mean, dangling the carrot, I guess, money would be a way, but being able to show them how great this district, so maybe implementing, I'm kind of sidetracking from what we were talking about, but implementing the PBIS skill, maybe a workshop to where the substitutes may be accustomed to this, to know what disciplinary actions we need to come across with these kids. I mean, at Arrowview, they do a great job of doing it, and it's not just write a low level, send it to the office, and that's it, or write a high level because they did this and get this kid out of my class type thing. It's you're connecting with the kids, you know, reassuring them this is what we need to do, this is actions that you're doing, and this is what I would like for you to do, making connections with kids. And if the substitutes can do it, as well as the teachers and the staff, if everyone is able to come together in that way, I mean, you make connections with the kids, and the kids don't just see you as a temp, somebody that's just there for the day, a babysitter. They see you as someone who's trying to make an impact in their life. And that's what we're here for, and that's what I love to do and what I want to continue to do. So thank you.
Abigail, you had a clarifying question?
I have a clarifying question regarding the PBIS training.
Yes.
Do substitutes currently have, or with Dr. Mitchell, do the substitute teachers currently take the PBIS training?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Thank you.
And you want to stop the clock real quick? I don't want to take their time away while Abigail's talking. I'm just playing. But, of course, you guys are still talking, but I want to thank all you guys for coming out. And, you know, I got to commend you. I know Mr. Fletcher probably was like hitting you up about making sure you asked for that additional money. But you're so compassionate about the students. You switched to the whole PBIS thing. I think that's fabulous. It's just a testament to all you guys about how you guys really care about the students first. And I hear you loud and clear on that. And I want to thank you all for working in our district. And I know because of negotiations, we can't say a whole lot now. I just want you to know that. But thank you all for coming out. And I really appreciate having you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we go. Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Gianni. I'm Chief Steward for Substitute School Teachers in San Bernardino. And I'm here, of course, to do what everybody else has been talking about, ask for the 5% increase in pay, retroactive till, I don't know exactly when, but I was thinking more like January, but some say July 2014. I thought that was interesting. I noticed that the management, teachers, and classified have all gotten the 5% increase. I'm on the negotiating team, so it's kind of difficult to talk about anything because it gets kind of frustrating when you bring up a proposal and it comes back and they haven't really thought about answering your proposal. They just basically say, we like it the way it is. And I don't like that terminology because it's hard to really talk about it if you like it the way it is, because we have to go back and research and read everything else and figure out what are they talking about? Why do they like it the way it is? Our contract was never really that strong, I don't think. It never really covered the teachers. I know that in the past we've had problems with different substitutes. We've tried to teach substitutes, and we've tried to have you guys have the workshops that you do, and we thank you for the workshops because they're really beneficial. They're really helpful. I know I use a lot of the material that I get from the workshops in the other district I work in. I know that for myself, I work in 2 districts, San Bernardino and Fontana. But that's just the way I've done it. I mean, I could have worked in Rialto because I live in San Bernardino, but I don't know, I just picked Fontana for the fun of it. Let's see. What else was I going to talk about? Okay. I noticed also the thing that you talked about too, and we've heard about a lot about it, is the fact that you don't have enough substitute teachers to cover all the classrooms. And we've negotiated with and talked to Dr. Wiseman and his staff about it, and they came up with a solution that seems to be helping out, but we're still running short. And I think sometimes it's the reputation of the district. And I'd love to improve the reputation of this district. And one thing I'd like to do is be able to tell substitutes in other districts how wonderful San Bernardino is. But sometimes I can't do that if I have to deal with things like this. I mean, we need the money. A lot of us are just basically working this job and along with 2 other jobs. I mean, we had like 5 or 6 people that actually had to leave because they had other jobs they had to go to. Other things they had to do, family issues that they had to take care of. Right now, for myself, I mean, I know I work sometimes in the union, and Ron tells me I don't work enough, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that I deal with my daughter, Sarah, who is a special ed person. She's 30 years old. This past weekend, she picked up a turtle. We have a red-sided snapper. I have no idea what it was until my wife looked it up on the internet. Turns out it's a very mean turtle, and it bit her right here in the chin. Oh. And it hung on for quite a while until she just held it there and finally let go. And she was bleeding and she was crying, upset, So I had to deal with that kind of a problem. And, and then on top of it, we get to talk to other people and about different issues. People call me about things and problems they have, and I have to hold myself and keep myself in positive nature, and that's what I like to do, because I like being positive. And I've learned that a lot with the PBIS training. I noticed that when PBIS training was first started, we were the ones that basically came out and said, hey, we need this training. And I think the more we've talked about it, the more we've talked about with our substitutes, I think more people are saying that this is a very important thing to do. So I thank you for all that you've done. I hope that we can all come to a positive conclusion to what we need, and that's a 5% increase. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Van Proyen. I don't know the protocol. I've never spoke in front of you before, but I believe I have to give my address, 5904 Robin Road. No, I don't? Okay, all right. This is my first time. I was called a couple days ago by our union president. And first of all, I want to thank all of you for all your hard work on the board. I used to cover school boards as a newspaper reporter for many different cities, including in Los Angeles. And thanks to all your hard work, we are making changes. When I first moved here about 14 years ago, the headline on the paper read something to the tune of San Bernardino Unified ranks 99th out of 100 worst school districts in the nation. And I see, largely because of our new superintendent, thank you, that we are making big changes and that hopes will come to fruition, I believe, in the near future here in San Bernardino Unified School District. I'm among the nearly 1,000 subs here in the district. I'm new. I began about a year ago, and I'm doing this not only to be on my children's schedule, but to make a difference in the classroom and to bring a fresh perspective into the classroom. I've always been a very involved parent in all three of my children's education and saw the need for subs frequently when I would walk my second grader to line up at the beginning of the school day at Hillside Elementary. So I joined the world of subbing about 1 year ago. I have one child in the dual immersion program at Hillside Elementary and 2 children at Richardson Prep High Middle School, one of whom is going to go on to either middle college, he's on the wait list, second in line, or Cajon. And I have a deep interest in the quality of education here in San Bernardino. That's why I became a sub, to be on my kid's schedule and to make a difference in the classroom. Like scores of other subs here in our district, through our workshops, I'm pleasantly surprised to find out that they come from professional backgrounds. We want to make a difference in the classroom. I'm a journalist with a strong English and writing background, and I enjoy passing on my skills and many years in the field writing for major metropolitan newspapers and newswire agencies. I'm not wanting to talk about myself, but just to show you that we are professionals. In the workshops that you graciously offer us, I hear the other subs talking, and I'm very happy to hear that a lot of them come with strong backgrounds to offer our children to enrich their lives in the classroom. Emphatically, I ask you, please take a look at some of our proposals. Don't just write them off. Most importantly to me, I ask the board to please allow us subs access to the lesson plans 24 hours in advance. As a sub, I want to go in with something that I can show the kids to demonstrate and make it an interesting lesson plan. I want to know what I'm going to be teaching. And I plan my days, I actually schedule my jobs sometimes a month in advance, a lot of times weeks in advance off of the SEMS. The jobs are available a lot of times a month out. So I know the lesson plans are available at Hillside Elementary. I have a good relationship, working relationship with teachers, and also at Richardson. So they're really good about that, emailing me the lesson plans ahead of time. Is this my countdown right here? Okay.
That's everybody's countdown.
That's one of the proposals that I think you should really look at. And I know that other districts in the nation are doing so, where they get their lesson plans 24 hours in advance. For me to do an effective lesson in the classroom, I really need to know what I'm going to be teaching. Most of my sub-jobs, like I said, are at least a week in advance planned out. Otherwise, it's a scramble. Subs are required to show up a mere 10 minutes before the school day starts. That's when we get paid, 10 minutes before school day starts, familiarize ourselves with not only the classroom, but the behavior charts, location of the teacher edition books and handouts, figuring out the acronyms that they leave for us, not to mention the emergency drills and maps and plans that also, a lot of times they'll just go to the wayside because we're scrambling to figure out what to do. Many times here in San Bernardino City Unified School District, we are aware well in advance of teacher in-services, conferences, Common Core planning. Please allow us access to lesson plans ahead of time. And the other thing I want to encourage you to do is to pick our brains. We as subs are professionals. We go from school to school. We see the pros and cons of each school. I would love to give you feedback, and I'm sure many of the other subs here would too, on what we can implement from school to school that'll better the school to make that hope truly come true. And I thank you for all your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, as you can see, those people spoke much more eloquently than I can, and that's true. Our PBS training has helped us tremendously. We thank you for that very much. We just wanted to, the reason I brought out the thing about wages is I just wanted to have the district know that even though it's in negotiations, we did not feel like we were being treated as equals. And that, you know, kind of smarts. And with the fact that the industry's turned, we're going to have a need for a lot more subs this year. And a lot of subs are not going to be subbing because they're going to have full-time jobs somewhere else. So I will be talking to you a little bit later.
Thank you, Ron.
Wait a minute.
Thanks, Ron.
I have Dr. Flores.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you all for coming out tonight. And I know that we have to be competitive as a district because, I mean, we've run into shortages of substitutes for all the things that we want to do, professional development and so forth. So I appreciate it. And what is the actual, is it 125 per day?
Right now, our contract shows 127, and after 75 days, you go up to 130.
Okay.
Okay, and but other outlying districts are starting to raise theirs to 135, 140. Now, if you take and compare San Bernardino with like-sized school districts around the state, and you'll see that we're no longer number one. We're probably about in the middle.
So what is Fontana's per day?
Fontana right now, I'd have to ask Mr. Gianni. Fontana?
115, and what about Rialto?
Rialto's 121, but we start negotiations with Rialto next week.
And what about Colton?
Colton, I don't know about because I haven't looked into Colton. So when you're looking at these school districts right around us, I understand what you're doing because of the Inland Empire. But what we're trying to do is take, not so much the wage increase so much, but the fact that to continue the education that you have with their training and stuff, but we also need wages that are livable. What you heard from was a young lady who does childcare. They've been getting $75 a day for the last 12, 15 years. We have gotten them to sign cards, so now we're going to be going to PERB, so that we'll be able to represent them. And we hope to get their wages up to at least $15 an hour. So that means they're going to get 120. They should do that. They're changing diapers. They're taking care of these kids all the time. Why would you pay them $7, $8 an hour?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron.
Appreciate it.
The next public comment, the board welcomes Ms. Negrete to speak on the topic of the adult school, and she has a question of what is the cost of the name change. And Ms. Negrete, I just want to remind you as you do approach the board that we may not have that information tonight, but we'll certainly provide information as we're able to do that. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think Danny asked a question for me earlier, and I appreciate that. I understand it won't be available. I wanted to take the opportunity, though, to ask about LCAP. I had a few suggestions on the LCAP funding during the meeting that we had. Are those being taken into consideration?
Yes, and as a reminder, my direct comment to you was you'd be invited to the extended cabinet meetings that we have where that input is brought and then ultimately again brought to the board as it was outlined tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are the public comments, Mr. President. And
Great.
so at this time, if we wanted to, if it's the board's pleasure to return back to item 5.1, we can.
You got it. And what we will do is we will open a public hearing, and it's going to be on the fund balances above the minimum reserve requirement for FY15 and 16. We won't vote here, but we'll ask for any comments, questions, or...
Yeah, and just as a reminder, Board, this is as a result of Senate Bill 858. There's a trailer bill enacted which had established a reserve cap. Assembly Bill 1048 attempted to repeal that but failed, so this is where we are now. It's a new process required each year. So with that, I'll turn it over. Any final comments to Mrs. King?
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. As Dr. Marsden mentioned, Ed Code now requires us to bring to the board each year with the budget adoption, the reasons for the unassigned fund balances that are above the required reserves that we have. We've identified those as the $12.5 million that we're going to be discussing in the next month or so as a part of the timeline that we identified. So while we haven't had the specifics, we have identified that we are taking it through our vetting process to determine the board priorities and take public input. So with that.
Thank you, Mrs. King. Mr. President, there are no public comments on this topic.
I had just one question.
Abigail and, yeah, Danny?
Oh, sorry, Abigail.
Right here, it says stores, required reserve stores. Can you help me understand what that means?
As a part of our reserves, we have to have reserves for stores and for revolving cash. That just means we have to have a reserve for something that's a non-cash or an asset that we can't spend. We have stores in our financial records as an asset, and that is something that even though it hasn't been spent or expended, it is something that we cannot allow the board or anyone else to spend. So we have to have it hold it in reserve as a non-spendable item.
Non-spendable item? And the reason why you're holding reserves just so you don't spend it? I don't...
Because it hasn't been expended, or
Hasn't been...
it isn't budgeted to be expended. It is something that we hold as an asset. So because it doesn't fall out through the expenditure process, neither does revolving cash. It's something that we hold. We have to have a reserve to offset it so that we don't spend it, and that we maintain the integrity of our fund balance.
Okay, okay.
Is there anything in the provision of this law that addresses the actual ending balances?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Is there anything in the law that addresses the actual ending balances? Like in September, do we have to report what the actual numbers are?
At this point, there is nothing in law that says we have to address it specifically. We have to do it as part of the budget process, so to address that would be our plan. I'm sure we can always choose to do it. It's just not a requirement at this time.
So the law is just asking us to present what our projected ending balances are?
Yes, as part of the budget, if there's any projected ending balances that are over and above what is required, in our case 2%, then we have to acknowledge what those balances are intended to be used for. Otherwise, we should be including them in our expenditure budget so that we don't have what would be considered an excess. So this is just, if we have it, we're recognizing that it's there and what the intent of the board is in having those funds there. So at this point, with us, we're just acknowledging that we're going to be taking it through a process to allocate those dollars.
And are there any consequences associated with having ending balance more than the required reserves?
Not at this time. If the reserve cap is triggered, we could have the consequence of having that the CDE can come and say we have to actually make sure that we spend any excess reserve within a certain time frame.
And you mentioned if the reserve cap is triggered, what does that mean?
There are a number of things, and I don't have all the terms with me, that will trigger the reserve cap to come into play. When that does happen, then all districts will have to maintain reserve, their required reserve, and then they can't exceed twice that in any of their budgets or plans moving forward. If they do exceed twice the required reserve, then they'll have to come up with an expenditure plan and make sure they include it and spend it within a certain time frame afterwards.
So can we find out, you can give us information to tell us, explain that part?
Sure, I can get that for you, absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, be good to actually expend it all, wouldn't it, Danny?
It
I
would
think
be.
That's the whole point. I think that's
And
part
if-
of our, that ought to be our, maybe goal.
And if we don't, I mean, if there are consequences in terms of this, if you hit this cap.
Right.
Because I can see the cap as being something where it might be listed, we might be on a list publicly as an agency that hit the cap, and you hit the cap multiple times, which sends the message that you're not really spending your money the way you think we should.
Yep.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Okay, no public comment, additional public comment, so we will close the public hearing, and we'll move on to our reports and comments, and ask that we hit item 7.1, report by San Bernardino Teachers Association. All right, Robert.
Good evening, President Gallo, members of the board, and Dr. Marsden and cabinet. I'm Robert Rodriguez, president of the San Bernardino Teachers Association, and I say San Bernardino with pride because I am proud to work in this city. And I know that many of you have seen the article in the LA Times this weekend, which painted kind of a dark picture of our city and really highlighted some of the difficult areas that we have. And in one of their sentences, they highlighted our school, all of our schools as being subpar. So I'm here to tell you and to be on record and tell you something that you already know, that our schools are significantly better than subpar. We have excellent schools. My members do an excellent job in this city, and we have created a lot of achievement in our city with National Blue Ribbon schools, California Distinguished Schools, Millennium Scholars, Gate Scholars, all across our district. And so I hope that the district considers, and the board possibly even responding or commenting on this article, because I know the association will be doing that on our behalf, because we do support and love our community, and we take pride in that. We also wanted to comment on the changing of the name of the adult school. It's something to move with the times, but I did like the suggestion of keeping something relevant to the adult school, because as we think about pride in our city, that's something that we do take pride in. In many years when districts all around us were cutting, I live in Riverside, that was one of the things that went. You don't see adult schools around, and so that's something that we really should cherish and we should keep funding, because it's something that attracts people to our city, and it's something that we can use to continue to invest. There was a comment made earlier in the meeting regarding some of the LCAP funding, and so I pulled an article back there and made some copies for you. On June 10th, Superintendent Tom Torlakson released a letter for the uses of local control funding formula, supplemental and concentration grant funds, and it's the update on the interpretation on how the money was spent. So a lot of the questions that you were asking, Mr. Tillman, they're right here. So I brought a copy of it for you and the cabinet people.
Thank you.
And then the last part, we just wanted to thank Dr. Zamora for, and Barbara Richardson. I know she stepped out, but the district met with the association today. We brought in 6 to 7 teachers over their summer break to work on our assessment matrix so that it is ready to roll out for the beginning of the school year. Wow. And I know that summer is off and a lot of our employees are gone, but we're working on getting lists of people available so we can come in and continue having those conversations. We know that we have some dates to talk about the additional funding that we've received. I've shared with you before about class sizes, an issue and a priority for us. We've not had any conversations since then with the district in response to class size. We do have additional funding of $40-some million, some of which was addressed tonight. And so I think in part of the conversation when you were saying let's spend it on the kids we have now, that's exactly what I would like to see, is some reduced class sizes moving into the beginning of the school year, doing that work now with the increased funding that we're looking at, so we make sure that we do the best for our schools and we go against this type of message, because our city is great and we need to continue to make it better. So thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Great, thank you, Robert.
Can I add really quickly? Because I did speak about that during my inspirational reading, and I also mentioned the article that came out, Building for the Future. And that one shows that we are doing great things here in the district. And it's, you know, I know the city's going through struggles, but we are doing something about it through the education point. So yeah, thank you for
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Abigail. Let's go to item 7.2, report by California School Employees Association. I see Carl wandering down.
Hello, President, board members. I'm here again this evening because obviously, I guess our words landed on deaf ears. About a month ago, I came here and I talked about the working out of class issue. There's been nothing done since the last time I came up to speak with you. Also, back in February 2015, we met with the district and we met with a board member, Mrs. Hill. At that point, we were at our wits' end and we were willing and ready to move forward with legal litigation. At that point, the district stated that there will be no manpower after June 30th, 2015. As of now, the district is asking for more time to execute this plan. That is unacceptable. There is more than enough time, there's more than enough employees that would love to come here and would love to go to work. There's no reason why this shouldn't have happened. Also today, we had a meeting with ourselves, the union, HR, and the Personnel Commission. Although that we didn't argue and bicker this time, nothing got done. We need to move on this right away. I cannot stress to you how important this is. We are headed down the wrong road, and we are headed towards litigation, I promise you. Also, we found out today that the working out of class issue belongs to the Personnel Commission and the Personnel Commission only, not directors, not the district, and not the CSCA. The Personnel Commission is to develop a list of people who are qualified to work out of class, and they are also responsible for watching the days, hours that they have. And total hours are 120 days. So what we have been doing by allowing other facets to take over that has been wrong for over a decade. These situations have been going on for over a decade. When you needed us, we came. Now all we're asking you to do is follow the laws, the rules that are set forth by the state of California. Also, we found out that if a person tests in this district and they pass this test, they can work as substitute employees for 120 days. If a person tests and fails in this district, they can work for 90 days. There is no excuse to have manpower. So we're asking you once again, please do something about this. Superintendent, you have a responsibility to your classified personnel. Free up what you need to free up your people so we can get to the table and get this done once and for all. If not, we're going down that road. Thank you very much.
Mr. Greenwood, if I could just clarify something for your information. I apologize, you didn't hear my comments at the beginning of the board meeting. At the beginning of the board meeting, I asked that we would remove items 8.33, which is manpower, item 8.38, which is also related to temporary labor agreements, and item 8.39 with temporary labor companies. So there is no action being taken by the board tonight.
I understand.
And I just wanted to be clear that you understood that.
I understand that, and I want to thank Dr. Wiseman for pulling that.
Well, I didn't know if you were aware of that.
I am aware of that,
Okay,
but we
fantastic.
still have no concrete dates, times on when this is going to take place.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Report by Communications Workers of America.
Good evening, Dr. Marsden, Mr. Gallo, and the board. Last week, I had the pleasure of being in that wild city of Detroit, and there was a shooting right outside of our hotel.
Oh, my word.
But from what I understand, that's a commonplace occurrence there. We met with people from all over the nation and had a very good time, and one of the most enjoyable times I had is when the thing ended, I was able to take a tour of Motown, where the record company started. That was so great. I'd highly recommend that to anybody. To stand, you know, that close to Michael Jackson's glove and hat, and to see where the Supremes were, and Stevie Wonder and all that. It is great. I got a couple of things tonight. On 10.14 tonight, you got an amendment to the agreement with Atchison. No, this was last week, sorry, because it's the second. You approved $600,000. That's what they asked for. Tonight, on 8.48, they're asking for you to renew next year's agreement, but only at $600,000. Can I ask what that $600,000 that you approved last week went for 2 weeks, you know? What's going on? I know who these people are, because when we first started our negotiations, Steve Adelson was very helpful. And I was just curious as how come, you know, this year we're spending $1.2 million, but next year we're only going to spend $600,000.
We clarify that for you, Ron?
So in June of 2014, the board approved a renewal for Atkinson Andelson. And since that time, and I can't go into any specifics, there's been some pending litigation that increased our cost to that firm. So the last board meeting, we requested an amendment to increase the $600,000 in additional amount. And then the agenda item tonight is to renew for the upcoming school year, July to June.
All right, so we might see another increase later on. Okay, I was curious about that. The other thing is what I passed out to you is a letter written by Marisol. She's the girl in Rialto that was the student representative, and I really hope this board finally gets going and gets a student representative. Read that letter. She told me that I could give it to you, and she tells about her experience. I will tell you that the lady that had it before her went to Washington, D.C. as, what do they call those? Feller, yeah, where she was working for different congressmen and stuff, learning the system. So it is a great way of getting our students to know about other things. The thing that I liked about it is where she states that she had to go to all the school things, even if it wasn't her school, and she grew, because all of a sudden it wasn't just her, it was all of the students. So read that letter, and I know that we asked for a student representative many months ago, and I see that occasionally it's still on your list of things to do, and I sure hope that in next year you guys can swear in a student rep. That's all I have.
Ron, are you familiar with how are they elected? Do the student body of the entire district elect these people? How did they do it? Do you know?
Okay, they have 3 high schools, and so they choose the AVP president from each high school. So it rotates. So it's not just one high school doing it. So each year a different high school will have it.
But one representative?
One
And then
representative.
they typically pick the student body president? Is that what you're suggesting?
That's what they typically do.
I see.
That's because those are the kids that are really doing everything, right? Okay, any other questions?
I just wanted to clarify that we increased Adelson and actually 1.2 million, because the week before that was 600,000, then last time it was 600,000.
Yeah, so
And
6 and 6 goes to 1.2.
1.2.
Last year.
No, more than that. And then we had also, I think, given them 6, right? We increased it twice, 600,000.
Right. Let's ask Perry, I wonder if you might characterize, that's our entire
With this
legal
firm,
budget, 1.2.
the date was June 17, 2014. The board approved the amount of $600,000. That would have been a renewal for the
Right.
14-15 school year. And then we had just this last board meeting, an increase of 600, so a total of 1.2 for that firm.
We didn't do it the time before?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, because I thought I had seen twice. that we had-
What was our total legal budget expenditures? Didn't I see that at like 1.2 total for our total annual legal budget expenditures?
Are you talking about the,
Total legal budget expenditure
from
for 1 year?
July up until April, I believe it's 1.2. And it was a significant increase due to some litigation in the facilities department. Very significant, but yeah, we're looking at about 1.2 between June, or July, I'm sorry, and April of this year.
So do we think we're going to end up about 1.3 or so this year in legal expenses?
Approximately.
Yeah, because I recall a couple of years ago, it was like 2.7.
That's
or
just
something.
for that
this is
law
total.
firm. No,
all-
this is just for this law firm.
No. This is total expenditures
Correct.
for every law firm we've got.
That is correct. So we have a tally of all of our firms, what the amounts are and so forth.
Say
So
no, but-
between July and April, we're looking at.
Well, I stand corrected, but I think we have lots of other law firms besides Atkinson and Adelson, and I think it goes beyond 1.2 because Adelson is 1.2, so we have other law firms that we're giving money to. And unfortunately, we have litigations, and it's unfortunate that we have to allocate that money. I mean, 120 million would be enough for 20 teachers, and, or, you know, whatever, but we are, I mean, obligated to protect the district, and we have to spend the money for that. So-
That's understood,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but we track this, and we've been keeping over the last few years, been keeping a pretty tight rein, or at least understanding. You know, again, as Dr. Flores mentioned, you can't predict, you know, litigation, but, you know, I recall, again, a couple of years ago, our $2.7 million of expenditure is now about 1.2 to 1.3 or 4 max that we'll be expending for this year. So
Well, you're getting your
substantial
money's worth, because
reduction.
Steve Alderson has written a book that all your principals use for how to collect data for people who aren't up to speed. So,
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, let's see. Yeah, let's ask School Police Officers Association to come on up. Any report? Nobody wants to come down? I don't know, Chief. That's great. Thank you, guys. Report by school, San Bernardino school managers. Thank you. And 7.6, board protocol discussion. This is on number 4. Individual requests for reports, surveys, projects, et cetera, will be directed only to the superintendent. Any comments on that, everybody? I think we've, Danny?
I mean, it's the same thing. Sometimes I call different people, but
Pardon? What was that?
I said sometimes I call different people for different information.
Yeah, and I guess the point of this and why we adopted it as a board protocol is to keep since the superintendent is the one we're holding accountable and responsible for this, it's really difficult if we end up tasking his people, without his knowledge, and basically usurping his authority and responsibilities that we pay him for.
I think, Mr. Gall, you're not being realistic. The one thing about the superintendent, he's very, very busy. He does a good job. But, he is very, very busy. So, and I'm trusting that if I make a phone call and request information from somebody, they're going to inform the superintendent that I called and what I called about and what I asked about. And I guess the only reason I'm saying it now because I don't want to be hypocritical or disingenuous by sitting through this. I don't know why we're doing this, but sitting through this protocol and then, not being honest about it.
I think that comments are completely appropriate.
I don't see how, a board member can be effective if you're just trying to get information and people just by going to the soup. I just can't see it. He's too busy.
Well, one of the things I kind of read and hear a little differently is sometimes staff, if they have to generate a report or complete a survey or they embark on a project, it requires their time and energy, and they may be already diverted on several or a couple topics, and this allows that balance of workload, because I can assure you if you make the request of an individual staff member, they'll get right on that. It's not just cabinet, but there are, requests, just period. If they go to pick a person, could end up adding a load of work to them, and we just don't consciously, I just remember a time I was going through my doctoral studies at Pepperdine. I always wished the professors talked to each other so they could assign all the assignments, like when you had, less, it seemed like it flowed, like everybody wanted everything at the same time. All 5 or 6 instructors had like significant workload responsibilities due at the same time. You kind of wish they would have talked to each other and realized, well, why don't you wait till next week and ask this thing, and you get the next week.
This was just to prepare you for this exact opportunity, Doctor.
I mean, so I look at it a little differently, but I do appreciate the comment and the compliment.
Dr. Hill, and I saw Dr. Flores' light, but.
Okay, thank you. I don't have a problem with the report, surveys, projects, because I want the superintendent to, I think it's good that cabinet members will know that the request has come from the superintendent. Now, the et cetera is another thing. And I think that might be what Dan is talking about, the et cetera stuff, which does not include these types of things. So maybe when we do our next board orientation, we can kind of talk about et cetera, because I know the superintendent is busy, and it's important for him to be busy, because sometimes the et cetera are those types of things that require pretty much a yes, no answer type thing. Mr. Tillman, I think, well, I'm not going to assume that's what you mean, but
No, there's a number of times when things are time sensitive and you need to get the information right away. And I mean, the soup said himself, he's going on vacation. It doesn't say, there's nothing in here that says unless if he goes on vacation, go to some other people. This says only. So it doesn't even allow for exceptions.
Well, let me clarify on that example, Mr. Tillman, just so the board is clear, because it's a good question you've raised, is what happens when I'm gone or unavailable. We have a system in play that someone in the district specifically is assigned to take my role. So when I'm out, it's usually falls right to Dr. Volkmer. If he and I are out, then it goes to a specific assistant superintendent. They're assigned for a whole month. And then if one of them is out, we then assign it to official person. So the person would know, who they are. Carla knows who they are. And so if you did ever have a request, again, it just, if I am available, they'll, if it's significant enough, they'll inform me. If it's not, they'll just handle it. It's a communication loop, just keeping, that,
I would appreciate,
kind of like our last
yeah,
discussion.
I would appreciate that you let us know, that I'm leaving, or I'm on vacation, or I'm on a conference, and, Carol's in charge, or
You bet.
or whoever.
Yeah, and I believe we do that now.
Not necessarily.
Oh, we'll make sure we
Yeah.
do that, yeah.
I mean, you may tell Mike, but I don't.
I think I get a text.
Yeah.
That's the method of communication.
Yeah, I haven't
that
gotten a
typically
text.
We'll make sure we formally communicate to the board, in my absence, who's in charge. You bet.
I guess a prime example of this, and I guess the worst case scenario was even recently with the whole graduation experience. There's only a little bit of time there, and that's the one time. That's the one time that, because we had just had a meeting, I wanted to do it right. So when I got these phone calls and texts, I put a call into the soup. of course, everyone was busy because everyone was going to a graduation. And this truly was time sensitive because it was associated with a student graduating. But with that, if I had called in the earlier, as soon as I got the information, if I had called and just asked the principal at the site what the status was, I would have got more information immediately. By the time me and the soup did connect, it was, there was no time to have a real dialogue because he had to go into a graduation. I was going into a graduation. My only point is sometimes the stuff is time sensitive, and you can't go back and get time. So if you, and I guess the thing for me is we're dealing with students, and it's I mean, and it's sometimes critical issues, and you don't have the luxury of just whenever the person happens to be able to get back to you, he can get back to you. Sometimes if he's in and you guys know this better than I do, Mike, you know, because you're in the meetings with Dr. Mars-in-law. He's not going to step out of one of these meetings where he has community meetings and folks with him. You're going to have to wait those 4 hours. Sometimes I can't wait 4 hours. So, I assume that's what the deputy superintendent for, or wherever else is not in that meeting. It helps to get that information to solve the problem. So, you know.
Yeah, and I know you're listing some kind of unique circumstances and extenuating circumstances, and I know that this particular item is pretty specific. It says only, so I know that's the argument. Any other comments?
I just want to
Dr. Hill?
say, Danny, I guess misunderstood the communication because I didn't see that type of a question being a part of number 4. I was thinking surveys, reports, and
Yeah, but
you know the things that they send to all of us.
That's because I mean, I don't want to assume anything, but it does say et cetera, and it does say only. No, but the et cetera is saying, even for everything, you only contact the superintendent. There is no out.
I know that maybe once or twice, I knew that Harold knew the information, so I called Harold, but then I texted Dale to say, you weren't here, and I needed this information. Harold's the only one that knows it, and, but I let Dale know. And
I have great
and I
response.
needed it right away.
Yep.
I mean, I just, but I did communicate with Dale. Dale, I mean, I could have told you what but you didn't know it because you hadn't been here, and it was history. It was history that I needed. Somebody had called, and it was urgent, like urgent, so.
Yeah, and I know I've at times done it concurrently where I'll text Dale, Dr. Volkemer, and maybe whoever the assistant soup might be that is in that area, and just said, there's what I found out, guys, and I get a contact back from all of it. I think it's the point of, we want to make sure our superintendent is given the opportunity to actually direct the work and activities of his subordinates and his team, and I think that's the message here. And I know these words are pretty absolute, and there may be, I think that's a general practice, and there's always extenuating circumstances, as some of the ones you just mentioned, Annie. The high school, person. I mean, 4 hours means he or she missed it. So.
I guess the concern I have is once I'm coming, and I guess number one, I wish we wouldn't even do this at board meetings, because I don't like dealing with the subject. But I mean, today I called, I don't know how many people, but at my job, I have managers that work for me, and they get calls from people, and they know what calls to tell me they got. I don't see how that's any different. If Dale has people working for him. If someone calls him, those people, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Zamora, and Janet, and Dr. Wiseman, and Mr. Porker, they're supposed to know when to tell Dr. Marsden, I gotta give you a heads up about a call I got. It may be something so simple that they could just put it in a text or email. Mr. Tillman called, and here's what he asked me, and I gave him his information. So, you know, I don't know.
Yep. Okay, Linda.
I'd just like to make a comment on this protocol. First of all, protocols are the way we're supposed to act. You know, it's just a general thing, but it's not something that, you know, you can't have it other circumstances to where you're going to change things. I mean, you know, that just happens. When I look at this, I remember, and Danny, you and I can remember this one very well. We had a board member once who would go to an assistant superintendent and demand a report be done tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And it happened over and over and over. And we had to put a protocol in that said only reports, anything that took 5 hours of an assistant superintendent, anything that did that had to go through the superintendent. And that just cut that all off. Because, you know, actually, we were saving the assistant superintendents because, of course, they're going to say yes, but no, you know, I mean, you know, that isn't necessary. I mean, that's why we do that. That's, I mean, when we say reports, surveys, projects, that means asking our buddies over here to put in great time on something many times. And that's what we're trying to alleviate. That's the reason for this protocol, from my perspective. And that's why originally, years ago, I think we put those things in there.
Great comment, Linda.
But of
Thank you.
course, the superintendent found out about it, but that's why we had to change it to help people.
Thank you, Linda. Great, great way to end that conversation. Let's go to item 7.8, or want to skip by 7.7, comments by board members? No? I love it. Well, Abigail's first, Abigail, Margaret, and Dr. Flores.
Okay. Well, first of all, I do want to say Happy Father's Day, early Father's Day. Father's Day is just around the corner, and we won't be able to see you guys by then, but Happy Father's Day to all the dads and the moms who serves as dads as well, because they're the ones doing double duty. So I wanted to say that to begin with. I also wanted to create we have promised for those students who meet the A through G requirements for Cal State San Bernardino and so forth, but I would love to see a way, we have at Arroyo Valley High School the educator pathway. If there's a way that we can create a pipeline that's for those students who graduate from that educating, as an educator piece, go to college, come back to our school district, and become our teachers as well. So that way we have like a promise kind of a thing for our future teachers, and that way it can increase our teachers who have been in our school site, have been in our district, and it probably also increase the diversity piece of increasing the teachers here. So that would be something that we can definitely look at, especially since we do have that career pathway in the education field. And the other recommendations that I do have is, I know we're currently working on it, but I don't see it in the thing right on the priorities piece, but I want to add it, which is A through G, looking at the board policy, looking at board policy to align high school graduation requirements with the A through G, which is the CSU and UC requirements. So it's just to have it as one of the line items of the requests. And also adding a line item for the request is bring recommended secondary grading policy. And with that, I will remove some of my items, so that way it can balance itself out. Because I know I'm adding some, but I'm also going to remove some that I see that are not necessary.
Thank you, and maybe you can speak with me offline about
Okay.
which ones those are. Great, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Thank you, Abigail. Dr. Hill.
Thank you. First, I want to congratulate Roxanne Williams, who attended the city council meeting last night and did a rebuttal to the article that came out in the LA Times about our schools and about our city. She did an excellent job speaking on behalf of all the good things that's going on in this district. So if you didn't catch the meeting, you might want to see that. I think she got to speak about 10 o'clock last night, so you can have to fast forward that a little bit, but appreciate her sharing the things that's going on in this district. The other thing, and I'm just going to talk about two things tonight, but last week, both days of the training that was put on by Glenn Singleton's group was absolutely phenomenal. Now, for 40 years in this, with city schools in the county, I've had a lot of professional development, and I tell you, even the real good sessions, I would walk away with, that's nice, you know, and it was nice, and that's why I said that's nice. But last week was the first time in those 40 years that I've had diversity conversations where we were asked to first look at ourselves. Usually, as a classroom teacher, we're asked to look at the students. As administrators, we're asked to look at the teachers and counselors and the classified employees. But we were asked not to look at any of those people, but to look at ourselves. And it's amazing what you see when you look at yourself. And I'm just hoping, Dr. Marsden, that this filtered down to everybody, to the lowest level employee. It will be phenomenal how this district will turn around, because when we take a look at our kids and we can walk in their shoes, we can make a difference. And we understand why our students do what they do, but they're very capable. They just need us to understand them as we need to understand ourselves and understand those who work for and with us. So I just want to say thank you, and I don't know Dr. Zamora or Dr. Mitchell, I don't know who was responsible for bringing Glenn Singleton group in, but if I could give you a 5% raise for doing that, I would. So I just want to say I really appreciate that.
Well, I'll take the raise, but I do want to give credit to Dr. Flores. She brought the group to our attention and thought it was important that we engage the group. And last week we had our Principals Institute, Summer Training Institute, and we brought Glenn's group in for 2 days. Had great comments and feedback from our principals and staff.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you, Dr. Flores. I know you had mentioned that you heard Glenn Singleton himself. Right. But, so thank you so much for bringing it to us.
That was great. Barbara?
Yes, I just want to piggyback on what Dr. Hill said about the Beyond Diversity experience, professional development. It was transformative, truly transformative. And I hope that when they come back, you know, the rest of the board members can also participate. And I know that, I hope we follow up with them and I think you are going to follow up, Dr. Marsden, correct?
Correct. We actually already have a meeting that we'll be presenting to the board that will be for the board with cabinet, I believe is our intention.
And then, like what Margaret said, you know, with our teachers and then our students as well. I mean, just the example of these young people, just 3 days, it was just impactful. I mean, impactful. And you saw the diversity. They were very diverse. There were white kids, brown kids, black kids, Pacific Islander kids, all together. And they didn't say much, but, you know, they talked about being invisible. And first time that anybody had really asked them how they felt. And then saw that people cared about them and truly took them through just, you know, their identity, who they are, where they're going, you know, what are you doing, you know, et cetera. And some of the stories were heart-wrenching, let me tell you. But they saw hope, and that's what we're about, hope. And when they presented to the parents at the Family Leadership Institute with Lieutenant Colonel Kickbush, the Latino parents embraced them. They said, you don't have to be alone. If your father kicks you out of your house, here's my address. You can come to my house. I don't want you sleeping in the park. You know, I don't want you sleeping in the park. If you're hungry, you come to me. It was just amazing, the outpouring of love and caring. And I want to thank Dr. Wiseman, because he's the one that also, just like you, Dr. Mitchell, did the contracts and so forth to get a, you know, to the board. So you're very instrumental, both of you, in bringing Glenn Singleton's group and then also Lieutenant Colonel Kickbush. So, I mean, that's really, really great. And I also, the reason I wasn't here on June the 2nd, that I accompanied a CABA delegation of 4 to Mexico City to meet with directors, federal directors of IME, the Instituto de Migración al Exterior. And the issues that they're having is that our American citizen, our children that are U.S. citizens, are going back into Mexico only speaking English, and they don't know what to do. Kind of like, you know, we have bilingual programs, but they don't, and they want to start bilingual programs, and also they want to know how they can get transcripts so that, you know, where the kids are, so they can place them, you know, the things that we need to do, and they want our help. And so that was very interesting. And lots of other people presented. I would just highlight 2. One, a bank. A bank has developed financial literacy in Spanish, and we have access to that. All our districts have access to that. Is that amazing? For free. It'll be free, and it's digital, and we can have that. Also, Google supported Mayahi, MAYAHII.org, if you go there, where it's open source of all the knowledge in Spanish in one place. And they have like MIT, you know, engineering stuff from Monterrey. I mean, you could go through and have access to incredible knowledge. I mean, it's just, I was just blown away, and it's open access. That's, I mean, free. So that was wonderful. And then today, I got up really early. Oh, wait, there's one more. SEP, Secretaría de Educación Pública. That's like our Department of Education at the federal level. We have access to free textbooks at every grade level from K through high school in academic subjects. Given that we're moving into our multilingual, I'm still going to almost, our multilingual initiative, I mean, they're free textbooks with high rigorous academic language that we could have access to, and they're free. And they don't know how to distribute them to schools. Is that amazing? So they're asking us how to do that. And today I went to Ed Trust West's meeting where they discussed the LCAP and LCFF and all the issues related to it. The State Board of Education is in the midst of developing, you know, evaluation rubrics. And I'm sure Dr. Marston and the cabinet know all about that. But the dilemma is, you know, what will be the standard measures? Danny? Oh, Danny's gone. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're back there. You know, like you always say, what's the standard measure that we're going to be able to compare everybody with? But then also, I shared with them about our district and how we're doing the Gallup poll. They were really interested with that in terms of looking at engagement, well-being, and hope. And because that moves toward the social, emotional, and also our safety issues and so forth. And they also mentioned that they are very impressed with our district because of our African American task force. We're like one of the few districts in the state that have that. And they will be probably highlighting that in their reports. So I was really proud, you know, to represent us both. I was there for also California Latino School Boards Association, but also for our district. And so, anyway, that's
Thank you.
what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Great comments. Let's go to board committee reports, 7.8. I don't think any reports from any board members on committees. Okay, let's move on to comments by superintendent and staff members.
You bet. For just a couple quick ones for you. First, I was proud to attend at the 66ers San Manuel Stadium, stuff the bus with Assemblymember Mark Steinorth. We'll receive over $14,000 worth of sports equipment, so it was a sports style stuff the bus, so proud to have that. We also attended, Dr. Volkmer and I attended the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools Alignment Institute kickoff event. Now, this is just as a reminder, you may have heard about the work going on in Nashville, Tennessee, and places like Ohio around collective impact. So our County Superintendent of Schools, Ted Alhandra, has brought in Alignment USA, which will help us lead the work for the whole county of San Bernardino, very similar to what's going on in our own city around our community engagement plan. Proud of that work. As was mentioned earlier, the Principals Institute attended the Beyond Diversity for 2 days of that training with the group from Glenn Singleton's work. And, you know, this is one of the beliefs they've developed in working with others across the nation is that it starts with senior leadership. Matter of fact, they will not work with a school district who doesn't commit to senior leadership first having the conversation. So they've started with us because of the Principal Institute timeframe, and next would be the board and cabinet, because what they found is to really raise the conscious level of discussion around race and diversity. You have to have tools, you have to have primarily the ownership of senior leadership to sustain that work, because it's not an easy task. They talked about how to interrupt systemic racism, talking about the personal racial journey, as Dr. Hill pointed out, the professional journey, what's precluded us from promoting healing among us, talking about also the storytelling, people learning about each other, and we did a lot of that. And they talk about how race is a sociological construct and how, you know, the conversation tools they give us, if we internalize those protocols and we live them out, we can become effective. If we simply just think it's another kind of, you know, shot in the dark training, that doesn't bring any advantage. Now, what we are doing as a team right now, we're working closely with Robert from SBTA so we can reconcile. There's a training you may recall that some of you have attended called from SBTA unconscious bias training, and a number of us have attended that, and so we see these as working in tandem and parallel with each other. We don't see them as competing or conflicting at all, and so we plan on bringing the board approach on that. Also was proud to attend with our schools with Principal Arwen Wild and our Tommy Archuleta for their recognition at the county superintendent of schools. Quite proud when you could stand up there and be the only school district to have a National Blue Ribbon Award in the entire county. That was pretty neat offering right in front of all of our peers, so that was fantastic. And then I wanted to mention to the board that I personally talked to the reporter from the LA Times yesterday for about a half an hour, Joe Mazingo. I will be meeting with him face-to-face over the next couple weeks here and taking him on a kind of a conversation tour, showing him some things that are going on. He anticipates writing a series of articles, and I'm hopeful that he'll do that. I'd ask him to join me with some city leaders, including, of course, you here at this dais. And then two more great pieces of news. One, I just got this hot off the press from LYNDA. A Cajon graduate was just drafted to the Major League Baseball. Brandon Becker picked up by the Orioles. So congratulations to Cajon High graduate Brandon Becker, who was drafted by the Orioles in the 17th round of the Major League Baseball draft. Brandon was one of only 3 Inland Empire players drafted directly from high school. Becker, a shortstop, is committed to the University of Oregon and has until July 17th to decide if he'll go to college or sign with the Orioles. He also has a scholarship to the University of Oregon. So that's a win-win situation there for this young man. So that's got to be a high. And for me personally, my wife and I tomorrow will celebrate 25 years of marriage, and I'm very grateful for that. It's been one of my life goals to be able to lead a home that I never had and have a marriage that I never got to observe, and so I'm very grateful to have that opportunity. Those are my comments.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Marsden. Let's go on to 7.1, our book study.
You bet. So this chapter begins the next section, practicing the 3 stages of hope. Chapter 9 is future casting, found on page 125. And this is really the crux of the work. I'm sure we'll hear more about it when Shane Lopez comes and speaks at our community gathering November 10th. But this is the crux of his work on the metrics around hope. That whole ladder piece that he puts in there, imagining a ladder with steps numbered from 0 at the bottom, 10 at the top. Top of the ladder represents the best possible life for you. The bottom of the ladder represents the worst possible life for you. And he says, on which step of the ladder would you say you stand at this time? And on which step do you think you'll stand on in 5 years from now? And he says that the ladder exercise, or the best possible life question, is not something he just dreamed up. It's a tool called Cantrill's ladder, after the psychologist who invented it. He said, no matter where you start, no matter how far off your best possible life seems, if you expect to be on a higher rung 5 years from now, you share the first core belief of the hopeful. The future will be better than the present. So when we measure hope of our students in the city, which, remember, we surveyed 22,000 students, grades 5 through 12, and 46% of them indicated those high levels of hopefulness. And so we want to just continue to increase that, and that's developed through this process of the ladder itself. So I just wanted to bring that to the kind of the forefront.
Cool.
Yeah, great chapter, so.
Yeah, it was excellent. And expectation is really a driver on motivation.
Without a
on
doubt.
Accomplishment, everything is, yeah, if you don't have an expectation, I mean, good luck trying to excel and gain better achievement, so. Okay, if there's no other comments, we can go on to our consent calendar. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the consent calendar except for those items that were removed earlier.
And I also want to pull one.
Sure. Go ahead.
8.60.
8.60, okay. Any others?
I need to pull 8.64 and 8.67.
467, any others?
8.61.
Okay. Any others? If not, let's call for the question. Please vote, excluding those items that we just pulled. Thank you. And let's go to item 8.6. Dr. Flores.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that we put the amendments in regarding that, somewhere adult school is in the, I guess below, did we say it was below?
Well, what we would do, Board, if it pleases you, is we would ensure a transition process.
Right.
Following whatever those marketing standards would be when you're going from an old name or to very well known to a new name.
Right.
We would follow that process.
So I just wanted to put that in the
Yeah.
amendment so that we're clear.
We certainly can do that.
Yeah, so I don't know how we say.
Well,
it,
and I also think-
Karen, I don't know how we would say that amendment.
Well, I think I also heard that we wanted to ensure that the San Bernardino City Unified School District
Logo.
It was prominently displayed,
Right,
and that it
right.
was
So
an
there's two-
affiliation.
there's
Right.
two conditions.
And
Yeah,
I think however we capture that.
Yeah, I took a note on the logo being utilized, actually taking it beyond just the adult school topic, but all schools having a standard
Both.
protocol. for
Right.
how- So we will do those
Right.
two things.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right, great.
Great.
Okay.
Uh,
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Flores.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded that we approve item 8.6 as amended. Please vote. Let's see, Mr. Tillman. Thank you. Item 8.61, Abigail.
And this was regarding the full-time probation officer. I didn't know that we had one, so maybe they can give me information on what their role is at 2 different school sites. So I see that they're help with reducing truancy, prevention, intervention, but I wasn't sure what kind of services they were.
You
gonna be
bet. We
doing.
can give that information to you. Dr. Mitchell's prepared to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a probation officer that we employ at San Bernardino High School and Pacific High School. The program started, the county pays for 75% of the cost of those probation officers. We cover 25%. Those officers work with our school police as well as the probation department to monitor kids who are on probation, as well as assist with truancy, absences. So they're another resource to the school and the community.
So we have several students who are on probation currently?
Absolutely.
In our town. Do we have?
Yes, we
It's
do.
actually a great partnership.
Okay, no, I just didn't know that, that's
Because they
why.
act as a resource, and a lot of times,
Yeah. So it
it's
gives us another-
over and above what regular students get. If one of these kids aren't in school, the probation officer will go to the house and say, where are you at? You're supposed to be in school.
Okay, okay, good, that's good to know, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Abigail, want to make, would you like to move that?
I will move.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve item 8.61. Please vote. Thank you. Great. Okay, let's go to item 8.64. Dr. Hill.
I need to abstain because I'm associated with Athletes for Life.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve item 8.64 with Dr. Hill abstaining. Please vote. Let's see.
Just push
Karen?
button.
These don't seem to be. And Dr. Hill's abstention? Great. Thank you, Dr. Hill. Item 8.67, Dr. Hill.
Same reason I'm associated with the California CSRI. I have been a part of that group since implementation, so I need to abstain again.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve item 8.67. Please vote. Thank you. All right, let's go on to our action items. Concludes our consent calendar, and we'll ask for the ever-controversial report on 9.1 personnel report.
As presented.
Okay, moved and properly seconded that we approve the personnel report. Please vote. Okay, thank you. And item 9.2, approval of the fiscal year 2015-16 budget that we heard about.
So moved.
Moved and properly seconded that we approve our 9.2, our fiscal year 2015-16 budget. Please vote. Thank you. And 9.3, we will look at approval of the local control accountability plan draft that we reviewed.
So moved.
Moved and properly seconded that we approve item 9.3. Please vote. Thank you. Item 9.4, Measure T and N Bond Citizen Oversight Committee membership. And you'll see the membership listed and recommendations. Both our outgoing members and 2 qualifying applications received. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the appointments, and we'll, of course, thank our outgoing members that we heard from Marilyn last time. And please vote. And great, let's go to item 9.5, Memorandum of Understanding with California State University, San Bernardino for the Guaranteed Admission Program and the Coyote First Step Experience.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the memorandum of understanding with Cal State San Bernardino. Please vote. Dr. Hill and Dr. Flores. Thank you. Great. Let's look at our 9.6, 9.7, and 9.8. We had a subcommittee meeting. We will be bringing back at our next committee meeting specific recommendations for the fill-out of the top 10 priorities, as well as a cleanup of 9.8, our action item list.
Yeah, and to clarify, there will be a survey that goes out to the entire board as you had before, so we did in the subcommittee, cleaned it up. Mrs. Medina will call and we'll talk about what other items we want to take off the list that are yours, and then we'll send you a survey so that'll be a little more streamlined in the survey approach.
Beautiful. All right, so, well, let's take a, why don't we
Sure.
approve or just go through 9, 6, 7, and 8, if we want to do that
You
all
can
at
approve it as a body, yeah.
Approve it all at once.
So
Great.
moved.
Been moved and properly seconded that we approve item 9.6, 7, and 8. Please vote. Thank you. And we will be going into closed session.
And we will be
we will be reporting out.
Yes.
So we'll see you soon.
Hi, guys.
We're the only ones here. At least we're early.
Okay, we got a few readouts here. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the appointment of the following employees. Jamie Arneson, Adult School Vice Principal, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined. Funding code is 130.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the appointment. Please vote. Thank you. Congratulations, Jamie. Let's see. This is SS 14-15-03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 03A, 10, and 12. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the Settlement Authority, SS 14-15-03, 04, 05, 06, 7, 8, and 03A, 10, and 12, in the amount of $25,030. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education authorizes Deborah Love, Purchasing Director, to sign any related documents.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the settlement authorities. Please vote.
Abigail.
I'll get Abigail, way to go. Thank you. And this is Settlement Authority SS 14-15-13. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the Settlement Authority SS 14-15-13 in the amount of $25,278. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education authorizes Deborah Love, Purchasing Director, to sign any related documents.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the Settlement Authority. Please vote.
Oh.
And there we go. Great. And this is Settlement Authority SS-14-15-14. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the Settlement Authority SS 14-15-14 in the amount of $27,459. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education authorizes Deborah Love, Purchasing Director, to sign any related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the Settlement Authority-14. Please vote. Thank you. Great. Do I have a motion to move to item
Move to adjourn.
12?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
13 and 14.
Okay, great. Meeting adjourned.